What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Otaku Perspective, man. I'm your host, Jordan, man. Here, as always, with my co-host, we got Dwayne.
Yes, sir. What's up? What's up?
We got TJ.
What's poppin'?
Theo.
It was good, man.
Man, if you've seen our last episode 1, we reviewed Fully Coolly. It was a great episode. If you want to see me react to episodes 1 and 6 of Fully Coolly, you can find it on my YouTube channel, Jay from Otaku Perspective. It'll be down in the description. But this week, we got 86, man. Just revisiting some initial thoughts, man. Our initial reaction to learning that we had to watch 86 this week. Let's get some thoughts from the guys, man. Me, personally, I hadn't heard of this show when it came out in 2021, but didn't really see it a lot across my timeline or hear a lot of things about it in the community. So I really went into it blind and didn't know what to expect at all. So that was about my initial reaction, just like, okay, I've heard of this show, but I know basically nothing about it, so I didn't know what to expect.
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie, man. Me, honestly, when I first heard, you feel me, we was gonna be watching 86, I didn't really know what to expect, what to think. And like as I went to watch the show, come to find out, it was something that I kind of stumbled upon a few years ago. I believe like a couple years ago. And I ended up watching like the first 5 minutes of the first episode, and I turned that shit off. So I can't lie. I definitely was coming probably from a place of like, I don't know. I didn't have high expectations. I really didn't have high hopes for the show. You know what I mean? But I can't say I was pleasantly surprised.
Okay.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, this is my second time watching it. So the first time I watched it was from Theo's recommendation. So I kind of seen it coming. It was good. Thoroughly enjoyed it. So
yeah, when I initially watched this, I was already just watching random animes and just knocking through the year. And 86 kind of caught my eye on the timeline. Seeing little trailers and snippets of it. So I kind of just dove right into it just to see. Saw it had some mecha aspect in it. And I kind of like mecha anime. So that's kind of how I gravitated to the show.
All right, y'all, man, we're going to get into breaking down this 86, man. And then after all that, it is Dwayne's week to pick what we watch next week. So for all that and more, man, stay tuned. Play the intro.
I'm a real spitter, baby, give me all the currency. Ain't nobody in this rap game going hard as me. Tripled up my money, niggas say I got that pedigree. You ain't heard by now, let me introduce myself from 3. When you see me out, hella gas in rotation. I can't even count all these blunts I've been facing. Told that bitch to get up off my ass, up off my case. This ain't even that, why you switching up the play? Like I won't pull up and dick you down and skirt off, take a race. Why you trying to check me, girl, you know that ain't your place. I've been working, I've been rolling, I'm so sorry for the wait. I've been living in the studio, like that's where I stay.
All right, then, y'all, let's break down this. First, we're going to go ahead and start with Season 1 of 86. We're going to break down Season 1. Just some of the stuff that stood out to us and a lot of the major plot points. All right, Episode 1 notes. We got Sheen. When I first saw Sheen, I thought he was going to be like an edgelord. He came across to me as like an edgelord style character, just his design. The black hair, the red eyes.
Oh, yeah.
I thought they did a really good job, and this goes a little bit beyond episode 1, but still very early, of the mystery of the 86. Because at first I'm like, are they AI? Like, what is she? Is she sympathizing with, like, AI? Is she like Cortana or Siri or something? Yeah. Until you finally get the reveal, like, no, they are people. Because you get the scenes where she's talking, but you don't see anybody on the other end, and they're like, oh, well, thanks you for always being kind to us, whatever. And it does build up a mystery of, like, okay, what is this? Mm-hmm. And I thought they did a really good job with that. Another anime, we get introduced to high school kids in the military, high school kids in this military setting. So I was like, I thought the animation going into the first episode, the animation was really good. Of course, the first scene, we see the CGI juggernauts, and I thought they were good. The Legion in CGI, we see them. I thought that was done really well. The character designs, though, to me, were kind of generic. Like, we've seen these designs. Like, you can show me a a character from this show and like 50 other different shows, and I'm like, what's the like? I can't tell you what show this character is from. But outside of the character designs, I thought everything with the animation and the overall looks and aesthetics of the show is really good. Y'all got anything y'all want to hit on for these first couple episodes? Well, really like episode, let's say 1 through 3.
Yeah, definitely, man. So for the first few episodes, I don't know. I kind of seen. I didn't really know what to expect as far as like from the plot standpoint, or just me. You know what I mean? Like seeing everything for the first time. I don't know. Just a couple things I noticed. Like I noticed a lot of the food they was eating was synthetic. Like Shorty's friend Annette that was cooking her a lot of the food. It would be like, you know what I mean? Like all the like the whole cake is synthetic, but you know what I mean? It'd be like the fruit on top is real. Like she made a point to say that, and I thought that was like, you know what I mean? I thought like, damn, like we not that far into the future. Like what's going on with the food supplies? That kind of had me intrigued. I kind of seen how you know what I mean? Like when they showed the military base, they showed like, you know what I mean? People getting drunk, like, you know what I mean? Like front row, and like I understand, like, you know what I mean? That might have been like, I don't know, like Japanese culture or whatever the case may be, but just even when I kind of related to our military, I was like, bro, it would be fried to walk in a military base and see niggas like shooting the shit and drinking beers. Like that would be fried. So I definitely got the sense that like, I don't know. I definitely got the sense that like it wasn't as bad. You know what I mean? 4 to 86 or whatever the case may be. Because I'm like, yeah, shit cool. You know what I mean? I'm like, damn, they must really got this shit under control, like under wraps. Right. Trying to think. I don't know. I feel like these first couple episodes we did get a lot of information as far as like setting up the war, and like a lot of things I took notice. Like when Lena was in the little classroom and she got into it with the professor, like her really letting, like, you know, feel me, like telling the students what was going on. I guess that like as far as from the audience standpoint, I thought that was crazy because I'm like. And like I said, that even furthered the thought of shit can't be that bad because, you feel me? She basically was like, nigga, this shit started 9 years ago. And then she said, like, when they first started, they got defeated almost in like 2 weeks. And then they're like, well, this new thing we came up with, 86, saved us and everything cool. So, you know what I mean? Like, I felt like they did a good job of kind of building that up. Like, building up your suspense as far as, like, what, like Jordan said, like, what's going on with 80, like, what is it? Like, how bad is it? What are they all subjected to? Like, how did they end up here? So, yeah, I thought that was cool.
My first couple notes for episode 2 is around that scene with the classroom was literally, this bitch is dumb as fuck, trying to tell them the truth. This bitch is mad annoying, and she want to be an 86 so bad. That was like my first couple notes going into episode 2.
I can't really argue with that too much. I can see why you say that. But to the character design, I think it's purposely done to look generic because, you know, everyone else inside the city looks exactly the same. Right. And I think they're trying to push the point that the 86 are just average Joes. And they're really the people that are out of the ordinary.
Oh, okay.
So me personally, I kind of like the design from that perspective. You look at it that way, that's why they kind of look generic and not trying to stand out too much because they're just supposed to be average civilians.
I mean, and there was a character in season 2 we'll talk about later that I really liked her design, but just more so like the art style of the characters, the backgrounds, everything were fantastic. I love those, but the art style of the characters, like, okay, we've seen this art style before in so many other anime of the characters, like just using this, like these lines and this kind of art style.
Okay.
Yeah,
but that's just how A1 style is because other shows like SAO are kind of like that too, like all the other background characters. And even you can even say Kirito looks just
kind of.
But that's just how
average anime boy.
It's
.jpg.
For me, going into the first few episodes, especially the episode 1 and 2, I kind of got the vibe of it's just like a black and white world to me. Especially coming from the Albas is what they call them because they have silver hair and white eyes and all that. And just the interesting part was just the world setting, like how you were saying how the world is, how everybody's saying how he's building on the character design. Right. Everybody looked the same in this country, you know, in District 85, or all the districts outside of 86. 86 seems like more open like country. You feel me? Like people are like living city life. They live in the countryside like that. I like the color scheme how you was mentioned about that. The background looks and everything. Everything looks more pop. They give you a sense that they seem more free in a way, but they're not exactly.
Right.
You know, and especially picking up on Elena's when she was talking in the classroom about the truth and what 86 really are. They're not these autonomous robots. They're actually human beings that we push out because they look different from us, and that's not right. Another part I kind of picked out episode 1 was it was an interesting concept of the handlers and processors. Like I haven't seen nothing like that, you know, from characters, you know, trying to command from the outside world, you know, not the outside world, but different side of the battlefield while the others go ahead, fight on the battlefield, risk their lives. That was something that was pretty interesting, especially with the para-ray activates, you know.
Right.
I kind of, and it was funny because I was thinking of Code Geass for a second. I was like trying to make, I was trying to make like comparisons Code Geass because Jordan mentioned about Code Geass once before. I'm like, well, how much does this take from Code Geass, or is it really taking from Code Geass? You know, that was just something that I kind of like picked up on as far as that perspective goes on episode 1, 2, and 3. But I mean, overall, I like the world building that they did for the first few episodes and the characters they introduced, the interactions that they had. And like how you said, the military officers seemed like they were slacking off in the you know, military room and all that stuff. And Elena seemed like the only true hard worker there was because she's trying to actually make a change and difference.
Right.
You know? But I mean, I understand where Jordan's coming from. It's like generic character. She seemed like she want to be an A6 so bad. I ain't looking at it that kind of way, but I mean, I looked at it as like, she's generally like trying to make a change. Sympathizing, you know what I'm saying? But that's okay. But that's what I got from the first few episodes.
Yeah, but before I forget, talking the irony of that, I love like second time watching it through. Like I love how you said, oh, it's kind of just seemed like they're just sitting there lazy, not doing anything, but it really builds into like the irony of it all. Like the two perspectives. You got the 86 out there, don't have a lot of real food, living off the land, living in the country, struggling, while you have what they call them white pigs, or legitimately inside the main city. That's what they call them.
No. I mean, they had the kitchen and stuff. So, and they had like drop offs. So, they were like.
So how you look at it, like I feel like Theo raised a good point as far as like now that he said that, when I look back, the difference in the color palette of the backgrounds, and I also noticed, I felt like just seeing them like interact with each other and like
because they seem more like
cook food and like, you know what I mean, like eat candy, just like different things like that. I did get a sense that their like downtime life was a bit more like free and just kind of unregulated, as opposed to, you know what I mean, kind of like the same like monochromatic like tone you see in the city, and then with Shorty on the billboard like saying the same thing. Like from Lena's perspective, it did feel like the roles were reversed, where she was kind of trapped in like this, you know what I mean, like this fake like everything's cool when it's not type.
And that was what I could say. It's like the difference. Like you see, like in the city, they have this huge sword, and it's weird that they look at themselves as the heroes. Like, oh, we won the war. We're about to do. No, we're winning the war. We're out here fighting. In all reality, it's the 86 that's doing it. It's like the role should be totally reversed. You could see like. You could, like, when it comes to, like, people inside the city have, like, these nice plates, fancy dinners and stuff like that. You see the 86 eating off, like, lunch trays and stuff like that. Totally different palates. Because, again, they kind of look at them as not worth. Like
animals, just livestock. One thing that now I'm looking at my notes did kind of annoy me was, like in the first episode, I noticed Shin was, like, executing fallen comrades and stuff. As you know what I mean, like people on the edge of death. So that was one thing that had me feeling like, you know what I mean, like, okay, this is interesting. But also, like when they broke down the Legion, now looking back, I wanted them to do more with like the different models of the Legion, and you know what I mean, like maybe only certain brains are compatible with certain models, or something along those lines. Because I got it in my notes, I wrote it down. You know what I mean? Each model thinking like, oh, that's gonna come back, that's gonna be important, and cause it doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah.
So I just feel like that was one thing that now I'm noticing. Like,
it's just kind of lore. But
that was more. I feel like I wanted to see more lore of like
of the Legion,
of the mechs and just their
and
whole. You know what I mean? Like why they chose. You know what I mean? Like that system or that model that kind of like resembles like insects in a way, and like with the hive mind, with the you know what I mean, the AI as opposed to like regular mechs or you know what I mean, whatever the case may be. So that was just one thing that I kind of was curious about, and since they didn't expand a lot on it, looking back that's one thing I wish they would have did.
Okay. Another thing I like to touch on, especially my initial reaction when I was watching the show the first time around, was how long I was gonna wait for Sheen's power to be discussed. Because for the longest, threw me in for a loop. Was like, how does my man knows about this Legion income?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It was just like, all right, when we gonna find out? But that kind of threw me in for a loop. Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
I didn't catch that until they brung it up. I didn't catch the early signs that he had a power.
Yeah. And then like when they introduced it, I do understand what you're saying. Like after they introduced the power and then they showed like, you know what I mean, like basically how how he uses it, like how he tells others about it. I did kind of think back to like different lines where like Lena was like, "Nigga, how do you? How are y'all always ready? Like how are you always in the Juggernaut, geared up, ready to go, like right by the enemy as soon as we find out if they're coming and different stuff like that." Yeah. So that is something that kind of was easy to glance over and miss if you're not really paying attention.
Yeah, it's a good thing you said that because another thing I picked up on in the show, they made it very known that the 86 don't really need handlers. Yeah, you can tell the handlers are really just there to keep the 86 knowing, like, you guys are really oppressed. Like, I want you guys to know everything you do, every order you take is going to be from us. And you can tell, like, especially with the 80, like, that special unit, they didn't need Lena. You can tell they was telling us, hey, that's cool, we hear what you're saying, but we really don't need you.
No, for sure. Yeah. There was definitely a growth her character had to go through as far as like getting the map. Like she had to really study and like really learn some shit and really like become a good handler to be effective. Because like you said before that, it was just like, cause you're just screaming on this. You're just screaming on the mic when niggas die. Like you're distracting. You're not really helping. Like you were saying. So
yeah. I mean, we only get to see Lena, so it's kind of hard to see an example of what a normal Alba handler would be like.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. But
well, you get some audio.
Because other characters even say like, hey, why do you treat them the way you do? And like even like some of the other 86, you can just tell they're kind of just like, why are you treating us this way? So you can kind of tell that, or you can kind of assume that the rest of them kind of treat the 86 just like straight AI.
But definitely to Dwayne's point, we do see that later on, Spearhead is more. They don't need a handler as much or even more so because we find out they're more of an elite group of 86. Isn't just like your normal new group of 86 coming in to start fight.
Yeah, these are the crash dummies, man.
It's
like that. And I'm watching it like, damn, they're under impossible odds. Like, are they really this outmatched? Like, what's going on? You feel me? And then once you get that reveal of like, because we've all been here so long, we are such good fighters. They just grouped us together and just send us on, you feel me, traps and ambushes and impossible missions to try to get rid of us. Like, once you learn that, I kind of like, you know what I mean? I was like, oh, well.
Yeah, there's some of my notes that relates to what you were talking about right now about them being the Spirit Squad and pretty much sending out the suicide missions. There's some of my notes for later on episodes that Lena actually found out later on.
Like, they had to. It was like
what they truly are meant to be.
Yeah,
you know,
it was like a whole thing where a lot of them had a conversation of like, are we gonna tell her? Like, who wants to tell her? Shin hasn't told her yet. Should we wait to tell her? You know what I mean? And then once he tells her, like, hey, bro, we appreciate you being nice, but you talking about the future and what we want to do when we get out. Like she wasn't even she wasn't even aware that was really a ruse. That little 5-6 year program they had was like, nigga, the survival rate is like less than. Maybe like less than optimal. Like we're not expecting anybody to make it out of this.
They didn't want them to make it.
Exactly. Yeah. And then, like I said, then they kind of, you know what I mean. Which I feel like is a brilliant way because it's a win-win for the Albas because at the end of the day, it's like, okay, bro, these are the best. These are the best 86. If they make it, you feel me? Like, if the longer they survive, cuz the more it helps us. And if they don't survive, we don't want them to survive anyway. Yeah. You know what I mean? So they just kind of took like the most talented, the best ones, and just, like I said, like sent them on dummy missions. Like, there was a time she was like, bro, he told her, like, this is an ambush, but we'll be ready to go tomorrow type shit. So,
yeah. I kind of had an opposite feeling because the way the reveal comes about, we have Lena who's been harping on trying to get them reinforcements because we're seeing in some of these early episodes, group members are dropping off. They're losing guys here and there, and Lena's like, bro, I'm talking to my uncle. I'm working on getting you guys reinforcements. And they're like, oh, yeah, cool. Until eventually they're just like, all right, we got to tell her, like, bro, we don't get reinforcements, like, ever. Like, they are telling you no because we're not allowed to get reinforcements in our squad. And I just felt like, from the Alpha perspective, why wouldn't you want them to last? You know, if they're the best fighters, why would you not want them to last as long as possible, or at least get them reinforcements? It's kind of weird. They do get a reason that they don't want them to start a rebellion or whatever. Well, I was just like, why not just give them like fodder? Because obviously, when you get no reinforcements, it's going to whittle down to one, and they all just going to be gone. So all your best fighters is like, okay.
Because you got to remember, in their heads, the Legion was only going to last for 2 more years.
Yeah, that's the thing as well. Yeah, as far as they knew, they felt like they were only going to last for 2 years. And like you said, they did say they didn't want them to become like people that the other 86 looked up to. Like, and then also you got to remember that all the 86 are conscripted to fight under the guise of, if you survive for 5 years, on your 6th year, you'll become an honorary citizen and you'll be able to live in the 85th district and, you know what I mean, and do all that. Yeah. So it was like, you know what I mean? It's like we don't want them to build a rebellion. We don't want them to look up to them, but also we don't want one of these niggas to really be citizens. Yeah, exactly. So, you know what I mean? I felt like that was an added reason to why they was like I said, it's like, okay, well, the longer they survive, okay, cool, take down some more Legion, but at the end of the day, we don't really want y'all to survive because we don't want to make none of y'all citizens. We don't really want to let y'all free.
Right. We don't want y'all living amongst us.
Yeah, like they wouldn't want one of them walking around like, I came from the 86th district. This is how it really is. Like, they would never want nobody to do that, so nobody's making it out.
Yeah, that's pretty much how that is.
Another big moment in these early first 5 episodes. We had Theo kind of goes off on Lena. Somebody dies.
That was one of my favorite moments. I first season.
I had noted. I was surprised that Sheen let it go on long enough because he just had even at that point early on. This is episode 4. He kind of had that character type where you think he's like, hey, bro, like, cut it out. It ain't even worth it. Yeah. I was surprised that he didn't cut in. He just let Theo go.
Yeah. Even Raiden will probably do that because Raiden will keep Sheen in check sometimes.
Yeah. I think it was like she needed to hear it because because at the time she had this big head thinking she was way above everyone else, but it's like, you're a little bit better, but you're still a hypocrite in certain aspects. It was kind of just calling her on her hypocrisy.
And I also feel like in that moment, Theo was kind of speaking for the whole Spearhead crew. Yeah. So I also feel like that was a reason why he kind of let it go on. And like we said, he, you know what I mean, that was one of the things that I wrote down that he told her was like, you didn't even ask us our name. Like, you know what I mean? He like, because at the end of the day, bro, like Dwayne said, like, you might feel like you're better than us because you're not like outrightly or overtly, like, you know what I mean, like talking down to us to our face, like treating us mean, you know what I mean, when you don't have a reason to. But he like, at the end of the day, bro, you still not really treating us like human, like even on subconscious level, because you still don't even view us as, you know what I mean, human. You view us as AI because you've been calling me like, nigga, laughing dog. You feel me? Black dog and laughing fox. Like, you ain't even, you feel me? And at that time, they had been working together for like a couple months or so. Like, it was a substantial amount of time to the point where it's like, when I thought about it, I was like, cuz, dang, like, if I had been working with somebody that long and I had never asked you your name, that would be crazy.
Yeah, it was funny because Lena's friend, Henrietta, she also mentioned about the files being locked up with the 86.
Yeah.
They don't want nobody's names to be known.
Exactly.
Because the handlers that pretty much talk to the 86, they don't want them to know their names because, like, we trying to keep our people under control, thinking this is how the world is outside, this is how it is on the inside, and not trying to create that connection.
Exactly.
They want to keep create that connection with them, then found out, well, you guys are just humans like us. Like, why is it? You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, it was. I like that moment.
Yeah.
It's very real, I feel like, and that's like I was waiting for somebody to, you know what I mean, like here and there, you feel me, a couple 86 would, you know what I mean, call them pigs, white pigs, or would express some type of like, you know what I mean, frustration with the situation they was in and what was going on. But I feel like that was the first time where I felt like the show really showed us like, all right, because these characters are realistic to some point, like, you know what I mean, like everybody isn't gonna be the happiest, most positive. You know what I mean? I'm a turn the other cheek type person. Like, somebody's going to get frustrated with this kind of facade that y'all keeping up with. Like,
it was so annoying.
Calling them every night.
Yeah, it was so cringe and annoying to me at the beginning. I'm like, Parade, don't activate. I think I literally had that in my notes. Like, this Mary Sue ass bitch is so annoying. Literally wrote that in my notes.
That shit was kind of bugging me.
Yeah, because it kind of seemed like she was trying to do the right thing so much it didn't come off as genuine. It came off more like annoying, like she was like mocking them.
Yeah,
which I kind of understand.
Or like condescending. Or
yeah. That's a better word. Condescending.
It didn't come off
it just didn't. Yeah.
I mean, to me, it came off genuine. It's just like, so she's in such a privileged position. It's just like
she doesn't realize.
You could tell, like, okay, please chill, but they're not really fucking with you. Like,
Yeah.
Like, you're gonna have to earn their respect in a different way.
Yeah, that's even one thing Theo kind of touched on. He's like, yeah, you're nice, you're a little bit better, but it just doesn't seem like
that's not enough.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like you really, you really don't understand because somebody from privilege don't understand how privileged you actually are.
Right, exactly.
It's like it's easy for you to say that when you're just looking at dots on the screen, but when we're out here really living, it's like when y'all don't care if we die. That's just another number. It's like you see, like the uncle's like, hey, stop reporting the deaths. There ain't no deaths. They're just robots, and they're just like, no, we're actually humans out here. And the fact that if we had somebody die, you don't even know her name. You just know her as her, her close. Yeah.
That's pretty crazy. One thing I like to touch on is how the 86 are pretty much out there in the country with like little to nothing, just scraps or whatever that the Albas give them. I find it pretty interesting how their lifestyle was so different from theirs because they seem more like a family versus an Alba perspective. Because you see everything Alba is just like all white. It's just pretty nice city-like kind of environment. Well, out there, it's like I said earlier, it's like you're more free, but they having fun. They got to go through shit moments and fight these legions, come back, maybe somebody die, and she didn't have to take them back to a resting place or whatever. But it seems like during that time of hardship, they still find a way to fight through the cracks of darkness. That was something that was pretty interesting to me the first few episodes, especially when episode 3 where Kai died. I don't know how you guys felt about that scene, but me, when I first watched it, it kind of hit me a little bit, especially with the music composer that I mentioned last week. Suwano, what was his name now? But Suwano, he's pretty good. He's one who pretty much composed most of the AOT soundtracks, and it was pretty hard. It was pretty heartfelt for me.
It was, I don't know, it kind of...
Well, how do you guys feel about the characters like that you feel like attached to or not attached to, or you just flat out think they're just blank characters?
This early on, definitely was just like... I had in my episode 5 notes that Sheen was surprisingly likable. I thought I could really predict, just based on his character design, where his character was going to go. But he was actually more open and more prone to talk to Lena than I had expected him to be. And I thought that made him a surprisingly likable character. He was already, you could see he was a great leader with his team. He may not have always been like the most talkative person, but he was still there for them, and they had respect for him. And then he's like the Reaper and all this stuff. So you really get this image of like, oh, he's about to be super duper edgelord, try hard. He don't care about nobody. He don't have no feelings. But we see very early on that that's actually not Sheen's hang up at all. Like, that's not him at all. Go ahead.
Well, about the characters, I feel like I like the characters, but I was really attached to them, especially after you seen what type of show it was. Like, oh, it's about to be a type of show where, you see a lot of the main cast die. We talk about what happened in the second half of that, but so it's kind of like hard to get attached. It's kind of like, damn, you don't really know what's gonna happen in the next episode. Who's still gonna be here? Who's not?
Well, I shouldn't say attached. I should probably say
like likable.
Yeah, likable. Or like some characters get a little bit spotlight, like when Anju and Dio. You see that Dio actually like Anju a lot. Yeah. And then you see that they're pretty much hitting, especially some of the scenes, bathing scenes, I guess, with Theo and Dio. They was just peeping on them.
That was episode. I wrote that down.
That
was episode 3.
Yeah. That was the first episode. Or even when Karina, she kind of likes, she do like Sheen,
She had a crush with him.
Yeah. But, I mean, it's a lot of characters that have, like, some spotlights. I shouldn't say attached, but, have some sort of spotlight that could, like Dwayne saying, like, they die off very quickly. The show's pretty much intimate, first couple episodes.
Right.
But, at least for me, my perspective, the way how some episodes constructed with the music, with the plot of that episode and what's going on there, to me, it seems like the characters have more significant role as far as the longevity of the show, because you got like a huge toll with Elena as a handler. She feel like, well, I'm responsible for it, and she's like, well, you're not, but you are in a certain kind of way. Just like how Theo raged out in the end of episode 3 going into episode 4, how he was going about. And another thing I like to mention about is I haven't seen a show that done 2 perspectives like that, where you go from one side to the next. Elena's have her moment.
Right.
And then 86 have theirs. They replay back some of the dialogues. And you kind of get the more body language and expression that they get. You're kind of just like, all right, there's like a little bit more significance in that kind of event or that scene that I kind of like a lot. Well, I haven't seen in the main shows. I don't know about you guys, but
I had that noted too, but I had the opposite. I was just
I was just about to say.
I was not a fan of the
really?
perspective changes, because it's like, okay, we'll see a line of dialogue through the communication between our main character Lena and Sheen, and we'll see like the 86 perspective, which is usually the more fun perspective to see, because they'll be talking and you got like other characters in the background doing this or that, and then they feel the need, and thank God they did not do this in the second part, but after that you'll just see like Lena at a desk, just sitting at a desk on the phone. And we get a repeat of the exact same audio track, the exact same dialogue. So I just noted down by episode 5. I was like, okay, I'm not a fan of these like swap perspective type scenes where they just rerun the same dialogue, but now you get to see Lena at a desk. Like,
I think, like me personally, I kind of felt like similar to what you're saying. I liked the perspective of the 86. I feel like watching the deaths of, like, when Chris Bluth died and Daya, when those two died, and you're like, they're showing you Lena. First of all, I thought it was hella jarring that, like, this explosion just went off. You feel me? Like, explosion, all you hear is, and then you hear it clear as day, I don't want to die. Like, that threw me off. I was like, cuz, why the fuck are they, you know what I mean? I'm like, why are they emphasizing on these certain lines? So that kind of threw me off. Like, I didn't really feel the, you know what I mean, like the emotional weight of it for real. Yeah. But I will say that, like, when it switched to the 86, I definitely liked how, like, they would play some of the audio, like Lena talking or whatever. Like, you would know right where this perspective is picking up off at. So I like that, and I also feel like watching or like seeing, like people seeing different characters die, like on the battlefield, and like seeing the 86, like you say, like they might have like a slight moment of like you might hear some gas, you might see somebody's facial expression change, but then seeing them be forced to focus back on the battle, I felt like added a lot of emotional weight with the music. So I will say I think they did a good job of that. But like Jordan said, I just think that perspective of Lena at that desk, it was really jarring for a lot of the deaths, and I feel like it kind of took away a lot of like the emotional weight of a lot of it. Even with the music and stuff, like, I think the only time I really felt that it was a good perspective was was that episode 5 where she is like first introduced to like the black sheep and like she first hears the voices of the AI. That I really thought that episode was very interesting. I liked how the perspective of Lena was very it like kind of limited our scope and gave us tunnel vision. It really put me in like her shoes. Like if I was a handler, you know what I mean? I was that detached. That would freak me out. Like that kind of made me uncomfortable. Like I thought it was. I don't know. I thought it was like a play on like hell. Like because when I watched it in the dub, like you just hear like indistinct like screaming. And then I had the subtitles on. Like some of the subtitles are reading like it's hot, help me, and like some people were calling out for like family members, like mom, dad, different things like that. So I thought it was like you know what I mean, kind of like an undead like hell situation. Okay. So I really enjoyed that, but that's probably the only part. That's probably the only scene that I really enjoyed. Seeing the difference of like seeing the different perspectives of the same situation.
Okay. I'm on the opposite spectrum. I thought this was some of the best directing I've seen in the anime in like a long time. I feel like it was important to see both perspectives so you can kind of understand it from the 86 perspective and like like to see how cold-hearted they are and how other people are kind of like, oh, they're just 86. They're not real. Right. Who really cares? Yeah, I think it's done a little too much at times, but when we get there, but especially episode 7, it does it the best, in my opinion. But I do like. I think the music was perfectly placed. Like especially like when you see them in the juggernauts, like you can hear like the creaking of the metal and like when they're running on walls and stuff like that. I think like the direction, when it comes to like the music, it was just.
The sound design was great.
It was great.
The action scenes, the sound was great. Yeah. A lot of great songs on this OST, and they were used very well. I'll agree with that. It's just. For me, it was just specifically those scenes where we switch and it's the same dialogue repeated and we got to listen to the same thing.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like it's done a little too much. I feel like just sprinkled in here and there is more understandable. Yeah. But
moving on with the plot, bigger plot points. In episode 5, we do get a backstory for Lena to an extent. We see her father, who was an 86 supporter, and he takes Lena at elementary school age out to the battlefield to kind of like see what's going on. He's an 86 sympathizer, which Lena grows up to also be. And bad things happen. He ends up getting killed. And Lena meets Sheen's brother, who ends up basically saving her from the war-torn battlefield at the time. What do you guys think about that development?
I definitely feel like episode 5, like I said, I feel like it was very, I feel like episode 5 was one of my favorite episodes. I feel like it was very interesting to see, like I said, that scene with the, I literally have written down like para-raid hell sequence like that. I feel like that scene was probably some of the best like intense moments of the show as far as like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know a lot as far as the plot. Like, this is new. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what to make of it. I definitely enjoyed that. I did think it was fried to learn that, like, her father had her, like, in the midst of the battlefield at that young age. And, like, even when her uncle, the general, kind of, like, broke it down, like, I thought that was something that, you know what I mean, like the writer of the show, whoever wouldn't want to touch on that, because I feel like that's something that you know what I mean, might see in a lot of different shows, and you might think as an audience member, like, that's kind of dumb, why would they do that? And you feel me, the show just doesn't touch on it, they just leave it like, that character thought that was cool, they did that. So I thought it was interesting that they really touched on it and like really like, you know what I mean, like you kind of heard some common sense and like, come on now, why would your dad do that? Like, so I thought that was cool. I thought that was very like realistic.
But I thought it was important that they did that because she's gonna be growing up around other people that don't see that. Like it's one of those things. Like if we lived underground, I could tell you the sky is blue, but until you see it for yourself, you won't really believe or understand it. True. So even though she was young, it's important that you see this now, so you don't grow up being taught one thing, then your whole perspective is really something else.
That is true. That literally did. like Jordan said, that literally did cause her to grow up to be an 86 sympathizer. And like you said, without that experience, she probably would have never had as much sympathy or care for the 86 without like seeing like, oh wow, like I was there in the battle. Like it's really scary. Like it's really dangerous. It's really morbid. It's really bad out there.
Yeah, especially when she actually interacted with Sheen's brother.
Yeah.
When he actually saved her and attempted to kind of approach her. She was like really hesitant because he didn't look like her at all.
Right.
And then until she wanted to offer him chocolate and wanted to like settle things down. I thought that was kind of interesting as far as that goes. But I mean, I ain't got really too much to talk about the plot.
I would say that scene does also simultaneously not only with Linda's development, but also build upon something that becomes really big. More so, like one of the core themes or plot points of the first part is who is Sheen's brother? Like, who is he really?
Yeah.
And we see, obviously, in this scene, he's a very kind person, and he's very kind to Lena. And we grapple in this first half with who Sheen's brother really was and who Sheen kind of like thought he was because of an experience that he had with his brother in a bad moment.
Right. Yeah.
And that really was kind of building on that, one of those core elements of this first part. All right, let's move on to, let's see our notes, like 6, 7, 8. Getting more towards like the middle type end to this first half.
Okay, I can definitely start because I definitely.
Go ahead.
Episode 7 was the best episode in my opinion, especially like in the first half. I don't know if you guys really pay attention to like what fireworks actually mean in that show, like the symbol. Like it really showed the difference between the 86 and everyone else. Like the first time we see fireworks, and you can see Lena's in her room. It's like, oh, can you see the fireworks? Can you hear it? She's like, oh, I can't hear or see anything, which symbolizes how truly far apart they are. Then they go to the ball, and they're doing the fireworks, and they're like, oh, can you hear and can you see it? She's like, oh, I can see it, but I can't hear it, which symbolizes kind of like, oh, how close they're actually getting out. She's like mending the bind between them and the 86. It's like, I think it was only like 2 or 3 times in the whole show where they mention fireworks in like a non-symbolic way, but it's like, and like as you go on, like legitimately it's beautiful. Like the first time you see it, you don't hear anything, but as the show go on, they get more visually appealing, and you actually hear it all the way up to the end of the show. We talk about that later, but I don't know if that's something you guys really noticed, especially like in that last, not to talk about it yet, but that last scene when they're there, and
I know exactly what you're talking about.
How you go
those
from
last fireworks, I was looking, I was like, why is there so much attention?
It's because the symbolism, from that first episode, you don't hear or see shit all the way into there being no walls between them. Like, oh, it doesn't matter, we're all together, we're all on the same battlefield now. Now we can all see and hear the fireworks properly.
Episode 7, we already talked about it and touched on it a little bit, but that was the episode where we learned about 86 or specifically Spearhead being like an elite company force of the 86. The 5 years and you're done rule was fake. We see it in the shower scene, Anju with like this marking on her back. And I had noted that, Brandon, and I really didn't know what to make of that. I thought it would become more relevant later. But just something I noted.
Wait a minute. You mean when she was in there with
she was
the girl with the red hair?
Yeah.
She kind of explained like what.
I didn't really. I see her talking about how she grew out her hair to cover it. But
So she basically got. I think in that scene they or not in that scene, but like. All together throughout the show, basically, she got sent to a 86 camp, and since she has Alba blood, like since she has the white hair and the white eyes, the other 86 that were there basically like branded her and like, you know what I mean, was like torturing her and mistreating her and abusing her basically. Okay. So she grew her hair out to cover that, and that was one thing she said to like Daya, even though he knew that, he, you know what I mean, he was like, you look nice with your hair. Is that, you know what I mean? He kind of.
Yeah, we do get references in this episode about discrimination amongst the 86.
Yeah, right, exactly.
The episode prior, episode 6, we learned that the Legion, they actually have like Shin's brother's head or had like his soul, basically.
He's a shepherd or whatever.
Right.
Do you guys happen to watch the ending? Like when the ending actually cues, y'all actually watched that?
Yeah. So I did catch one episode where they show his
So in episode 7,
as
as I was rewatching it, kind of caught me because I didn't pick it up. I did pick it up the first time. It's the hand reaching out.
Yeah.
And you see the gun go bang. So, I mean, obviously you're thinking of Sheen at that point. I thought it was pretty cool in episode 7 that gives more character detail about Sheen of, like, what he has to go through as to every single individual he loses on his squad.
Yeah.
And what toll he takes on them. Because off podcasts, like how you mentioned how many people he had in his squad.
Yeah.
Like 576. It's
Yeah.
It amazes you. Like, how can one person keep his sanity as a character to just keep going? And you know what I'm saying? But I mean, I thought the ending proved a lot about this show as far as character development, just detail about Sheen in general. I know Jordan said he liked Sheen because a little bit edgelord, but he seemed more likable as he goes on. Yeah. But definitely at the end of episode 7, I don't know if you guys caught on to that or you watched the endings and see how differences or hints they had to the show.
Yeah, you had to almost always because they had the after credit scenes. And it wasn't just like a preview for the next episode. It was like its own scene after the credits. So that probably was a big thing when this was coming out weekly. I also thought just as the ending as a whole artistically, found it interesting and definitely noted that they didn't have like an ending sequence, visuals type thing. They kind of just like stood on the last frame of the episode and then just like plastered a filter over it and then started the ending song. So I thought that was nice and a little bit different. Definitely something I noted.
I will say
regarding the ending.
Season 7. I feel like not season 7, episode 7. I feel like at the very end of episode 7 with what's his name, Raiden, with the scar. Raiden with the scar. I did write in my notes that like that episode he became my favorite character in the show. I felt like he had I feel like they had his character articulate the viewpoint of the 86 in the Spearhead crew and as far as like. Like with Lena questioning him, like, why do you guys continue to fight? And, you know what I mean? Like, why are you, even though we're subjecting you to this, you feel me? Like, why are you so respectful to me? Why don't y'all hate me? Why don't y'all hate us? Why don't y'all, you know what I mean, band together and run away? Why do y'all still fight? And he talked about, like, you know what I mean? He talked about his fallen comrades coming before him. But he also talked about, I think he had a line in there where he said, like, if scum treats you like scum and you treat them like scum, then you're scum. And then he talked about how, like, with Shorty who was abused and stuff by the 86, Anju, he basically talked about how he knows that there are, you know what I mean? There are horrible people that happen to be 86, and there are horrible people that happen to be Albas. But at the end of the day, you know what I mean? He talked about, like, he wants to be, like, they all chose to be good people as an 86, and then he talked about them, like, basically saying, like, them fighting, you know what I mean, going as hard as they can, surviving as long as they can, and, like, carrying on their fallen comrades is kind of their way of being able to have some type of control over their life, and I just kind of thought about it, like, you know what I mean, like, when life gives you lemons, you feel me, like, some people... You feel me? Like, for real, like, when life gives you lemons, like, some people are going to make lemonade. Some people are going to say, I hate lemonade, I can't do it. And some people are going to try to make the best lemonade they can. Like, and that's something that I feel like is common, like, you know what I mean, in actual life. Like, that's something I hear a lot of motivational speakers or, you know what I mean? Like, anybody talk about, like, people overcoming, impossible odds and, like, becoming successful, getting out of poverty. That's something that is very prevalent and is always talked about. It's not about... You know what I mean? What cards you get dealt or what happens to you in life, but how you react to what happens to you in life. So, yeah, I thought that was something cool.
The situation is definitely what they make it.
Right, exactly. Yeah, they definitely had to make the best out of that because they were fucked from the jump. So, I thought that was cool. He became my favorite character in the show at that moment.
What y'all think about her showing up to like the party in the black dress?
I thought that was cool. I mean,
that to me that just signifies as her just being different from the Alba people. I mean, that's just what I got from that because even Netta was just like, you dress it like this is a funeral. She just said, "Nah, I'm not dressed like because it's a funeral. It's just that's just what I want to dress as. Right. You know, being different, it seems like it's a frown upon. You especially get that kind of perspective from the military aspect. You know, like her uncle and other people, especially in the lecture hall. You had the guy sitting off to the side, just like, all right, she's not supposed to be saying that kind of stuff. She's supposed to be like a pig, essentially. Like, you're not supposed to be, you know. Right. But that's what I get from the black dress. I mean,
so many times she did things, and I had to question, why is she still in the military? Like, why are they still allowing her? Like, she is a complete liability. Yeah. Even when she's like given control to command Spearhead, and even Spearhead's telling her like, you're not cut out for this job. This is not for you. I'm just like, why? Like, okay, maybe they had some ulterior motive, but I don't know. It's just like, obviously they had to do it for plot, but it was just like in a realistic situation, it's like, oh my god.
Well, because I think it was more like because her dad was like a higher ranking official, so it was more. It was more because of it was more because of like a last name thing.
Also, I feel like that kind of goes back to, I don't know. I think Theo had said something about it where like, you know what I mean, like the handlers aren't like we've seen the handlers aren't really necessary. So with that being the case, I feel like a lot of the positions, you feel me, that they had, like he told her like, hey, somebody committed suicide in this handler position, but hey, don't take it too serious, cause just do some time in there, do a good job, it'll look good on your resume. Like, you know what I mean? Like there was a very nonchalant attitude from the Albas or whatever the case may be. I thought that was very
I don't know if y'all caught on to that when she was having a conversation with her uncle about the ball specifically, and he said word for word, like, "Oh, don't show up to the ball. Don't worry about the 86. The ball is your real job." That really significant, like, really shows like how they look at the 86 in that war. It's like, that's not your job. You're just there to be there. Your real job is to be. To help make our army look stronger than what it is.
Exactly.
And that's what made that episode so good. Like when she walked out and started talking to Spearhead, which really like shows like that's her in her mind. That's her real job, and the ball and everything else is kind of just secondary.
Because even her friend throughout the show up to that point was just pretty much telling her, like,
hey, for sure, I
don't know why you're even so attached to the 86. They got nothing to do with you. It was automatically annoying at first, but then you kind of sit back and see where she was coming from.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, you know, you're out, but this is how you're supposed to act. Why are you acting so different? You know, the whole ball scene, like how you was talking about, is pretty interesting. But that also leads up to episode 8, where she truly shows why she's that way.
Yeah, it was 8 where she
gave a little bit of backstory that she actually knew 86 from her neighbors,
right? Exactly,
which was actually pretty crazy because it's like, all right, so 86 isn't what they are. So why are you that way to, Elena about it? It was kind of frustrating when I first got to it.
She needed to be that.
But I understand
to survive and get on with your life. And I think that was something that was very interesting to me in episode 8, because even though I'm looking at it and from an audience perspective, up until that point in episode 8 where her friend really explains the backstory and how she felt. Up until that point, a lot of things to me weren't convincing me of the situation we were in. I didn't really get how, all these people would sit back and let that happen to what were basically just immigrants. You know what I mean? Exactly. And I felt like with the 86, I felt like they could have went fantastical, They could have made them elves or dwarves or something. I felt like they could have done something with that group of characters to make them just look even more different, to emphasize the bad treatment and the basic similarities to racism or prejudice or discrimination that they were trying to draw on. Right. But I guess hearing that from her and hearing how she basically got bullied for just being associated with an 86, and then her being a little girl, she basically said in that moment, after that day, when I called him a color, I basically decided at that moment, nigga, I'm not about to, you feel me, go through hardship for another motherfucker. People are picking on me, you know what I mean? And I felt like that, I felt like it raised a good question of basically, her friend Annette was basically saying, her standpoint was, we can't do anything. You know what I mean? Like, this is a whole government movement. Like, these are laws in place. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there are systems in place to keep them oppressed. So what can we really do? And I feel like that raised the question of, you know what I mean? Like, are you going to, would you know what I mean? Like, would you sit by and let something horrible like a genocide or like mass discrimination happen because it was a big force that was perpetuating it? Like, oh, it's a whole government. Oh, it's a whole country. Oh, it's a whole, you know what I mean? It's a whole regime doing that, so I can't do nothing. Or are you going to be like Lena and do the right thing? Doing the right thing. It doesn't matter. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter if you're going to get praise or, you feel me? It doesn't matter if in the grand scheme of things you're making a crazy change. Like, are you going to do the right thing because you know it's the right thing to do?
Which is also
and I feel like her friend and a lot of other people just felt like her uncle felt like, cause I'm not about to do that. Like, nigga, it is what it is. Type. So
and it's crazy because even her father was actual 86 supporter, and then
exactly, and he died,
because she was even mentioning in the show that he was looking for approval or support from her doing, but she was pretty much saying like, nah,
exactly, her father looked to her like, you want to save him, and she's like, bro, that's not my friend, bro. We're not saving him, and that's, you feel me, and that kind of gave her that gave her father the courage to sit back and be like, all right, well, you know what I mean? Like, if my kid who doesn't really have a huge convoluted concept of this gray and white with this gray inside of black and white, if she's looking at it black and white, I might as well, you know what I mean? So
I think her friend had a really good perspective of. Because, Lena's looking like, oh, I'm doing the right thing by saving them. She brought up a good point. It's like, you're just pushing on their suffering. It's like, they survived, but, you know, they're only going to keep making you make them go do worse shit. You know, it's like, oh, you survived this big boss. Oh, guess what? Now you guys are going to take on the next boss. You guys are going to keep going deeper and deeper. It's like, you're helping them survive, but you're also kind of fucking them at the same time.
She basically said they like sped up their day. Which I mean, she did raise a good point. Like
they did.
Yeah,
she was
right.
Because
if
it wasn't for plot convenience, honestly, realistically, they would have all died. And she was just making it worse for them.
Yeah, exactly. She raising bills and trying to, you know what I mean, filing reports and like I guess like when the general was basically like, the reinforcement order has been taken care of, they kind of told her, like, they just sent us, they're about to send us on a crash dummy mission. Like we're not about to survive this next mission type shit. Yeah. And that was the reinforcement order, was like, all right, just start sending the rest of them into a mission they're not going to survive, and we'll just refill the squad.
To me, this was the worst scene in the first part of the series. Hands down. The Annette not switch up, but just the reveal of Annette. To me, like, she
as far
hit
as that, like when she was telling her side.
Yes, bro. When she hit Disney villain levels of just like weird ass, crazy ass, like, it's fuck them. So in this scene, man, we get the reveal that Annette was like neighbors, as you guys touched on with Sheen. And she had a bad moment where she was kind of letting the new way of the society influence her into where she had a moment where she had told Sheen off. We learned that her father was a scientist and he ends up developing the Parade. Oh, yeah. And then they're like, just to hone down on it even more, they're like, well, he committed suicide because, like, a bunch of, like, 86 children died in the experiments to make the Parade device, and it's just like, bruh, some AirPods, bro. Chill. Like, y'all getting to Disney villain levels of just craziness, and then her reason is she tries to, like, put some of it on Lena, because to Dwayne's point, she tells her, she's basically like, you're just as evil and fucked up as me, because you should let them die on any random mission so that they don't die later on another random mission. I'm like, no. How does that help? Like, let them die now so they don't die later?
Well, basically, she said that she was going to try to save Undertaker. That was the thing. She said, I could have saved Undertaker because of something with the Parade, you know what I mean? Something with the Parade. They was like, he's the most effective. So she was like, I know they were going to send him to me to get looked at, so I could have tried to save him or skirt him off. But now that you was complaining so much, they kind of just, You know what I mean? They went away with all that, and they was just like, bro, fucking send them on the mission. But I see what you're saying. It did kind of feel, I don't know. I thought it was a good. Her reasoning was well articulated, and like you said, I mean, at the end of the day, she literally was just saying she was weak, and you know what I mean. Like she was weak, she got bullied, and she just kind of succumbed to the new way that they were trying to push. But I felt like it was articulated well that I was able to see, like, oh, you was just weak as hell, and you feel me? You didn't want to stand up for your friend in that moment. You know what I mean?
I can see where Jordan's coming from. She could have argued that Lena was doing the wrong thing. She's just prolonging their death without the backstory. Exactly. I think it still would have hit home the point she was getting at. True. And if you really think about it, only thing it really did was explain how the Power Rangers. I mean, that's the Power Rangers. The history. Yeah. But it's like, was that really needed? Did any of us really care how they learn how to communicate with each other?
Yeah.
No, not really. So it's like they could have cut that out, and I still would have been perfectly fine with it. To be honest, getting
ridiculous to that point for me. After this, Lena has a conversation with her uncle, and they talk about. Actually, I like a quote he had during that conversation where he's like, "Humans are not ready for freedom and equality." I thought that was a really good quote. Because just thinking, obviously, even in the real world, always gonna have like power. People who have power, and then obviously you have power. It's gonna be people under you.
True.
So even we see in real life that reigns true.
That was him talking about him asking her about what the 5 colors of the flag stand for, right?
Yeah. He basically was telling her like the country was overrun by corruption and all that. One thing I wanted to note in episode 8 though, I think the intro scene was great. But I definitely wrote down that I didn't like how I feel like leading up into this episode, the pace was kind of lulling along. You know what I mean? Like I'm watching it and like they're giving me this information. I'm like, okay, so are we? You know what I mean? I'm like, okay, so is this just a slice of life until they all die? Like, what am I watching? What are we doing here? And then basically in the beginning of episode 8, in the intro scene, Sheen basically tells Raiden like, yeah, bro, I hear my brother. Like, let's go. You know what I mean? That kind of started that off. Yeah. And that was one thing that I kind of felt was weird. How I didn't like how I felt like the pace of the story was kind of jolted along. Like, it would be really slow. And then, you feel me, Sheen would be on the battlefield before anybody, you know what I mean? Or he would be like, oh, I hear 1,000,000 units coming. We got to go. And that would be them, like, moving the story along. So I kind of felt like that was weird. That was one thing I noted. I didn't like how they did that in the first season. I thought the pacing was very. It wasn't smooth to me. It wasn't, you know what I mean. It wasn't like a smooth whether that was ramping up, whether it was up and down. It just felt like it felt like a roller coaster that was broken or something. You know what I mean? Like it started off hella slow and then we just 100 miles an hour and then they're like, oh, end of the season. So I don't know. To me it was kind of weird.
I feel like it was justified just from the action and basically like a storytelling standpoint. Mm-hmm. Obviously, with an action series, you're going to have your slow points or not even really slow points, but your downtime. You world build, you develop characters, and you develop relationships between the characters. Then you have your action. Yeah. When there's action going on in most stories, it's just action. Like, you can't really do much as a writer with that. You can, intersperse stuff. Breaks within the action where characters are communicating. But obviously you're going to have, action time, all right, development time, action time, development time. So I felt like I really didn't see that as like a problem with the directing or anything. Just more like with an action show, you kind of have to do that.
Okay, for sure. Each his own, man.
Yeah, let's move into this last couple episodes, 9, 10, 11, the finale. Part 1.
Oh yeah, this one got spicy, man. I can't lie. Episode 9 for me was.
Yeah, that's what I wrote down.
I really liked it. I think Lena really coming through. As far as the air support that was unauthorized. You know what I mean? Like I feel like at that point, Lena was definitely, you know what I mean, letting her nuts hang. You feel me? She was definitely in there, like, and I feel like it came at a good time because we had just heard. You know, feel me, from her uncle, like, bruh, the government is corrupt. You know what I mean? He literally told her, like, we did the 86 so wrong that we could never really make amends. We can't really own up to this. Yeah. You feel me? It's gonna be a stain in history. We can't really try to ingratiate them back in society or anything because we done already done so much damage. So I feel like episode 9, I feel like it was. I really liked how she was able to say, all right, well, fuck it. If nobody else is following the rules, nigga, I'm gonna break the rules to help people and actually save people I care about. I thought that was cool. And I also like when Lena blackmailed Annette. That part had me I love that part. Like, I definitely love that part. I think that line was crazy when she told her, "You already abandoned him twice. Are you gonna do it a third time?" Oh, yeah. That for me, like it went from I'm reaching out to you because this is somebody you should help, to her realizing, like, all right, nigga, I might have to manipulate her a little bit, and I'm okay with it. So I definitely liked that. I thought that was.
I thought that was a bit unnecessary for her to kind of go from being like this high and mighty person for her to step down from the pedestal, like, all right, I'm gonna be a bitch now. Yeah. You're gonna do this or not. But I feel like it wasn't really necessary because if everything was already going to shit, so it's kind of just like, listen, I need your help. It's all gonna be on me. I don't know. It's like they tried to give her friend character development to do the right thing, but it didn't really go anywhere because she's her best friend, but she's such a minor character. Doesn't even mean anything in the long run.
Okay.
I feel like it just.
I drew a connection between that and Shin's brother that I hit on later when we talk about Shin's brother, but I only have one problem with that scene in the sub, and it's like she takes advantage of her because she knows, and she tells her before she goes crazy into the argument and stuff, like, you're a good person. I know you're a good person. She basically takes advantage of the fact of knowing that she's a good person, and of course she'll jump at a chance to make up for the bad moment that she had, when she was involved with Sheen, when she told Sheen off for anyway. Just the end of that scene, I don't know if it's just the way it was handled in the sub or whatever, but Annette says to Lena, she's like, you're such a devil. And she's like, I am too, or something like that. And they give like this they give Lena like this smirk with this like shaded in face. And I'm like, bro, I literally brought in my notes. I'm like, you're not Billy Badass because you took advantage of somebody who you knew. Hey, I know you're a nice person. You're going to want to do the right thing. That does not make you Billy Badass. That don't make you Billy Badass. She's not a nice person, bro.
Annette was a piece of shit.
She was not, though.
Annette was a piece of shit. I feel like Lena was, and like I said, I feel like Lena was justified. You got to remember, this girl Annette been telling her, forget the 86, you trying too hard, stop making noise, stop ringing bells, stop trying to go through the proper channels to do what you feel like is the right thing. Who cares about these people? So I feel like, and also Annette told her, I'd never want to see your face again. Yeah, so when Lena came back, one, she couldn't just approach her on, I need some help, because she already tried to do that, and Annette got on her ass episode 8 and told her about herself. Yeah. So I feel like it was very justified in the fact that Lena had got to the point where she's like, okay, I got to grow up, bro. I got to stop being naive. Yeah. I got to stop being so happy-go-lucky by the book because it's not working, and these people are going to die. So with that being the case, I felt like, you know what I mean? Like, you didn't already try. She already tried to come to her nice. Hey, can I get some help? She's telling her no. You helping killing them, whatever the case may be. And I feel like that's when Lena had to say, all right, you know what? You can blame me. I don't care. And if I got to manipulate you to get what I want, at the end of the day, it was justified. It was for a good cause. The intentions were good. So with that being the case, I felt like, you know what I mean? If anybody deserves to be manipulated, it would be the most racist side character we done seen from episode 1.
But I felt like just watching it, Annette was already like, let's say she's on the edge of the cliff.
Right. I see what you're saying.
There was a difference, obviously, with the things Annette said and how Annette really felt. Like, she jumped at the chance to go and make up for the bad moment that she had with Sheen.
What she knew it was Sheen.
Because she was actually a good person. There was a difference between what she was saying. There was a difference between what she was saying and who she was, what she was saying and who she actually was.
No, I definitely see what you're saying though. I can see why you would say that.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. But I also want to add on
thought
to
it was good,
what
man.
T was
That
talking
was
about
lit.
as far as like that scene right there gives Lena like that extra step as far as like being a different character. It just shows from like the next few I mean, until we talk about it, but like the next few episodes leading up to part 2, it literally gives her more in depth of her having to change as a character from the following events leading up to part 2. I mean, that's the only reason I would agree with T on that perspective as far as her. I mean, how you mentioned about her having that little evil smirk and Nat calling her devils. It's like, all right, that's a little.
That's a little much.
Yeah, that's a little much. But it gives enough details. Like, all right, Elaine's gonna have to change scenery as to how she's gonna approach this. The rest of the episodes, the rest of the season. I mean, that's why I had to agree with T on that. Disagree on a little bit on that perspective.
Bloody Regina,
So
man.
maybe that's just my issue with the show. So they did do that. Maybe it would have been easier digestible if we would have seen that more in the second half. Yeah. But we don't see her character development at all. So we have no idea. That's why I kind of looked like it was pointless because we never get to see it again, and the changes her being like that makes really.
That was very disappointing for me. Like not really seeing a lot of her in the second half, and then you feel me like. I think was like episode 11, like hearing them call her like Bloody Regina, and then like the start of the second half where they're like calling her like Queen, and I'm like, okay, so all the 86 respect her now. So, but you know what I mean? It kind of I felt like it was a missed opportunity to show like you said, like to show more of that progression because I felt like they just kind of showed that, and then at the end, you feel me? They were basically like. Okay, now you should assume she just kept acting that way and she, you know what I mean, became somebody that these soldiers are respected. Or these processors or whatever.
No, I was just going to say, to you guys' points, it was definitely a step in her development. We see Lena go from asking to, okay, I'm going to put my foot down. I'm going to actually actionize and make something happen. Exactly. My only issue with it was just like, okay, don't act like she just like Kogiased her, like don't act like she just pulled a light Yagami and like really did some big brain mind tricks to like manipulate her. No, you didn't. She was already a good person. She just needed an opportunity to correct her mistake. You didn't Gias her.
Yeah, especially like when it came to like the last episode when she figured out what she was doing. Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, I don't know. It was like it was just a missed opportunity. Like they introduced Lena, they built her up to be the main character just for the second season to be like, she's around doing something.
Yeah. That's definitely gonna be something to touch on when we talk about the second part.
That's why I'm kind of more biased towards that in general. So I'm like that whole situation. It was kind of just like, it just didn't build. It's like building. They just stopped. We're just gonna keep it.
I don't think she really needed to be in part 2 that much because you already getting that first couple episodes, her getting that little development. Because it's always going to be all about 86 in their life. Because you already seen where she's getting that change from working behind the curtains. You know, because that's pretty much what she was doing the whole time anyway in season 1.
Isn't like the satisfying part about a character development is seeing where they started and where they go? Because it was like we saw where she started. They skipped all the meat and potatoes straight to the end.
I'm not gonna lie.
For real, that's what it felt like.
And I'm not going to lie, bro. For me, Lena in the beginning was so annoying.
Exactly.
So, you know what I mean? So hell yeah. So to see her in episode 9, like I said, like that was my favorite. That was my favorite moment of her character. Like, oh shit, she's not about to. Oh shit, she really do care about them. Like, she really about to put her foot down. And then to not see, you feel me? Like, not see that develop. Not see, you know what I mean? Her doing, you know what I mean? Like, continuing to be that character. It like. You know what I mean? It was just disappointing. It was just like a missed opportunity. Like I would have loved to see them use that character more and show us more of that.
Yeah, so I feel like if
that's all it is.
They should have just kept her as like the happy-go-lucky character.
Yeah, for real. Or you know, just made her have a little moment and stuff. But like showing the clips of her like with the red hair and motherfuckers calling her Bloody Regina. I'm like, okay, so is she? So that's when I felt like, okay, is she Billy Badass now? Like I ain't see her in 2 years. Now she the GOAT. Like,
what does he do to get that?
Exactly.
It was more just like fill in the blanks and use your imagination.
Exactly. I didn't like that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, how you guys felt about? I mean, since we talked pretty much about Lane and the Albas, how you guys feel about 86 on their perspective and their journey after their battle in episode 8 and 9?
So like 10 and 11.
10 and 11.
I would say
when they pretty much go to the other country,
right.
They're pretty much out on their own. They tell Elena like, hey, we're moving on now. Elena's pretty much had that little sad scene of her chasing out. Me personally, I ain't like that scene of her just chasing out. It's just like, nothing. What are you chasing for? You're so far away. You're not melodrama. You're not doing nothing about that. But I mean, as far as 86 go in episode 9, I mean, it just shows that. I mean, I know we're talking about 9 and the rest of part 1, but I want to touch a little bit of episode 8 because I said in my notes there's nothing left for us but what we have right here. Because they pretty much started with a big group and it's just the 5 of them that's just there. Right. And they all just kind of pretty much look back on it and just seem like, all right, especially the school scene where then none of them didn't know how to read other than Sheen, but none of them really had that experience of life that they were pretty much robbed from. And they didn't really understand the concept of humanity that the Albas live. I mean, I'll take that big part of from episode 9 and 8.
Also, a big part of episode 9, of course, is Sheen gets to finally send his brother kill his brother, whatever. Which was, I had noted, like, does Sheen hate his brother? Because at this point, obviously, we've getting these conversations between Shin and Lena, and it's like, okay, Lena's getting her perspective of who she thought that Shin's brother was. Like, oh, he was nice to me. He's like, oh, he did that, he did this. Oh, yeah, that sounds like him. But we don't really get Shin's perspective of his opinion of his brother, and then we see it ramping up and up to the point where he's about to go fight him, and he's got like this evil grin on his face, like he's really motivated. I'm like, oh, he don't like his brother. Okay, and then they, of course, end up fighting. He ends up killing him, and I thought maybe the Legion kind of has like a corrupting factor on his spirits because he's like, evil or whatever. But we see towards the end, he finally gets to say sorry for the bad moment that they had together, where he obviously going to the army and stuff did not have an opportunity to do when he was alive. And that's where I kind of like made the parallels between Annette and Shin's brother, because they both kind of like had this bad moment that they wanted to have an opportunity to make up for, and then we see later on they have an opportunity to make up for it. I just thought it was kind of weird, like with Shin, his whole hang up over it, because after it happens, we see Shin cry and we see him finally like remember the times that he had with his brother. Like, my judgment or my memory was kind of clouded by this bad moment that I had with my brother, but he realized, okay, my brother was not like that. Like, I have all these memories of my brother being cool, like Lena had kind of alluded to, like he was a great big brother, and my judgment and everything that I had remembered about my brother was kind of clouded by the memories of this one bad moment that he had.
I feel that. I think it was. I mean, I don't know. I didn't have a problem with it. I think that like during the fight, I feel like when they called the artillery in, seeing his brother like instantly turn and look at it and shield Shin from it because he thought they were live rounds. I feel like in that moment I was able to see like, oh, okay, so it doesn't really corrupt them. Like, they're still the same person deep down. Because, you feel me, in that split moment, for him to do that, I was like, oh, okay, so he still loves, you feel me, he still loves him and, like, wants to protect him and stuff. Right. But I feel like as far as Sheen, I think my whole perspective on it was, like you said, like, I think he really didn't know his brother because he was, like, he was very intrigued to hear Lena like describe his brother and talk about the time they shared together. But I think just having that bad memory, I feel like Sheen had kind of already accepted like his brother, any positive image he had of his brother, he kind of accepted the fact that was gone. And I also feel like with him always hearing those voices, like when I first heard his brother yelling Sheen, I was oh shit, like I could just, you feel me, like in my head I'm thinking like, like it really resonated for me because in my head I'm thinking like, damn, bro, like, you hear this nigga screaming day and night, like, he's deranged, he's hunting for you, you know what I mean? You're hearing that, and I feel like, so like you said, I feel like, I don't know, I just feel like Sheen kind of accepted, like, you know, like, my brother's gone, but, right. You know what I mean? I think it was something that, I feel like he was more relished in the combat fact that, like, you know what I mean? Like, they took my brother's head and put it on this shepherd, like, this huge, like, robot that's supposed to be more advanced and hard to defeat combat-wise. And I think, like, you know, him saying, like, I'm putting him to rest was just kind of, like, you know what I mean? Like, extra until he was able to, like, they was able to have that moment and he was able to see that shit.
Yeah, it showed that he was really a prisoner of the moment.
Exactly.
Like, he wasn't looking at the big picture. He was more just like, oh, you can kind of see that in his character the whole show. Like, there's things like, oh, what are you going to do?
Oh, yeah. That is very true.
I'm not even thinking
that is very true. When that survivor's guilt set in at the end, I was like, I've been waiting on this. I've been waiting on him to feel a way about, you know what I mean, having to carry all this pain and stuff. So,
but to George's point where he was talking about, like, it corrupting them, I don't even look at it like he was evil. He was trying, like, he protected his brother.
True.
Like, he was trying to kill him, not to be, like, malice about it. He was trying to kill him
to ingratiate him, into the Legion. Yeah, true, which is also true.
Yeah, so he was like, that was like the only way he felt like he had enough time to truly apologize. Like, oh, if we become Legion, we have until the end of planet Earth to
spend time together and make it right.
That's I don't think they were. That is very. I don't think he was like actually evil. He was like, oh, I need to kill you so you can become a Legion with me.
Right.
Make it right.
Make
amends.
No, that is true. He did. Yeah, he did say that.
Interesting. Also carrying on to Sheen, going to episode 10, I mean, I wrote down in my notes after he had completed his goal of putting his brother in arrest and everything, Sheen, you kind of get this, you get the side of him that you didn't get to see in the early on of the season, of him being more open and more approachable as an individual, you know. I wrote down he pretty much, you feel like he's just empty, you know, because Raiden even mentioned he's changed, like something's different about him, you know what I'm saying? Sure. After he achieved his goal and his purpose as a squad leader, because everybody looked up to him as their protector, as their go-away sender after they, you know, passed. And then you just see Sheen there just going through the motions, but afterwards, as you think as an audience member, it's like, well, he finally achieved his goal, what's next for him? And like Dwayne's point saying, you know, the question that he made of like, Elena saying, well, what are you going to do afterwards, you know, and just pretty much pivot the whole notion of he's just going through it day by day, but not knowing what the next goal is. So my question is, how do you guys feel about Sheen after he's completed his goal? I mean, after going through the steps of the next episodes leading to part 2, how do you guys feel about Sheen?
I was with you, like, definitely a feeling of what's next. I even wrote down, like, almost a Promised Neverland type vibe. Where we see at the end of part 1 of Promised Neverland, they leave the house and you have like, okay, what's next? There's what's next for Sheen, what's next for the rest of our group of 86 members as they go into literally what we see on the map visually is like an unknown area. And it's like, okay, well, what is this next part going to be about? So yeah, just really what's next for him as a character and what's next for the story. Is what I felt after, obviously, the end of this first part being, you know, him and his coming to terms with the whole situation with his brother and then basically, like, running away.
I also wrote down Fido memories. I don't know if you guys really got into Fido showing his memories. I thought it was a pretty cool concept. With him being able to like
that was hard to see.
You get to see the pain, laughter, grief, and hope that everyone go through. Even showing the kill off of certain characters. You don't feel that?
I do. I definitely do. I just, me personally, and I wrote down right here, bruh. When I heard Frederica say that, bruh. This nigga Fido thought he was dead and wouldn't turn over. I said, this dumbass dog ain't even dead. He thought he was dead. And like, I literally like thought of any movie I've seen where somebody jumps in front of a bullet and it just grazes them or something, and they're laying there, and then when you wake them up, they're, oh yeah, I am cool. I just thought that was so funny to me, bro. I was like,
it's a good thing you said that. It's like the one thing I hate about this show with the main cast. Death is just not a factor. Like the amount of like false deaths and shit like that. Just feel like I don't
We'll
know.
get to that definitely.
The fall.
Yeah, because he was just talking about if we thought Fido was dead. Yeah, but it was just like
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was.
Fido was a character that I was like definitely not feeling. But at the end of this first part, I really did like the Fido POV scene. We get to see him and his relationship with the 86 members, and as Theo kind of touched on earlier with the grief, great scenes where up until this point, like Dwayne saying, death is nothing to them. We don't really see, besides maybe like the scene where they was like going off on Lena out of just anger. But other than that, we really don't see any like their group is dwindling. We don't really see much of them like crying or reminiscing or sad about it until we see this scene at the end through Fido's POV of like Fido will have pictures or scenes or something where people are separated from the group. Like of course we had that picture with Anju and scene
she's crying,
where she's crying like she's like taking out the trash or something from the back of the kitchen, and we see like, and that really opens up a lot with these characters. We see like together they're strong, and they are strong individually, but you know they don't want to look weak in front of each other. So they do have these emotions and they do go through these points, but they do it, you know, by themselves. And I thought that was really a great scene and a great way to show that like we did not write this in. Like this happens. But they are the kind of people where, you know, they're going to go into a little corner or whatever and get all that out.
How'd you guys feel about the reveal that the guy that was living there at the 86 with them? How'd you?
When I first seen that, I was like, I kind of had a feeling from episode like 1 or 2, and I was like, all right, I think he's out, but he's just not, you know, revealing it because maybe either he already revealed it to him or he's just saying like, hey, like I'm here for you guys until afterwards. Because you get that little send off of him, I think episode 9 or 10, where he pretty much tell all the kids like, hey, you guys all come here. And then it's like, man, he's still treating us like kids. You know, he got candy and stuff in our little juggernauts. But I mean, I felt like, in my opinion, it was fine. I mean, it didn't bother me as a scene as far as like how important that scene was.
Right.
I mean, it just shows, again, like the Alba and the 86, you know, not Alba is all bad. You know, he's pretty much there. He gave his layout of his story that his wife was 86. Yeah. And he even he mentioned he dyed his hair so he could go to war with her. But pretty much they was like, no, she already died. She already died and everything. So it's like, well, damn. So he's just sitting here like, all right, I'm going to have to raise these 86 up like they're my own, pretty much. Yeah. Or unless when he found out when Sheen could actually hear voices and it was like, hey, can you hear my wife out there? He said no. He even mentioned it's like I was going to go out there and kill myself. You know.
I just wish they would have showed him telling the 86 that. And I thought that would have been like a great character development for them. They always hear him like, oh, we hate the white pigs, fuck them. And they'd be like, hey, I've been here the whole time. That's who I really am. I wish that would have happened. I didn't really mind it, but I just wish I would have seen that on screen of him telling them that.
Yeah. I mean, I liked it. I think that was in like episode 11. I think that episode was very emotional. I think like with the music and everything, it had a lot of emotional weight to it. Like I could feel it. I was like, dang, man, that is crazy. Yeah. As far as the old man, I thought it was cool. I didn't really think nothing of it. Like, to be honest, bro, like, up until that moment, like, I thought maybe, like, I don't know, like, at first, like, in the first couple episodes, I thought, like, damn, they'll never had an old dude in the juggernaut. Like, he don't be fucking. and then, like, halfway through, I thought, like, oh, okay, he's just, like, the resident, like, mechanic or, you know what I mean? Whatever the case may be. But it like, once, you feel me, like, once he told his story and everything, I thought it definitely, like Dwayne said, I thought it definitely showed that, like, not all Alba are bad. And, you know what I mean? I feel like him, and I think he had told her, like, I think he said he told the Spearhead crew, like, they first day, like, hey, he was like, hey, I'm Alba. If y'all want to whoop my ass, if y'all want to kill me, if that's really going to make y'all feel better, y'all can. I am Alba. But if not, you know what I mean? Like, we can, you know what I mean? I'll be here for y'all. But I don't know. I think there's so much death in the show as far as like for the 86, and like Jordan said, like us always seeing them strong together, and even like them kind of criticizing Lena, like, bro, get off the call, like you, like, you know what I mean, like you. He told her straight up, like, bro, you crying and screaming, like you making it hard for us to, and like he told her, like, it's already hard enough to stay focused on the battle. And, you know what I mean, not let our emotions get the best of us, like, bro, get off the call. So I feel like with that being the case, it wasn't until, like, episode 11 and, you feel me, the Fido's POV that I feel like I really was under the impression that, like, dang, you know what I mean? Like, dang, they're not, like, cold-hearted. Like, this stuff really is affecting them, and, you know what I mean, they just, you know what I mean? Like, I guess they just chose not to show us that until that moment, so.
Okay, yeah, just my perspective on the reveal with the old guy revealing he was Alba. I didn't see that twist coming.
Right, yeah, I didn't either. Yeah.
It definitely completely caught me off guard. Once I did see the twist and learn his backstory, I was definitely like, this is a real 86 sympathizer.
Yeah, for real, yeah.
You're a fraud, and you want to be a real 86 sympathizer. You need to do what he's doing.
That's the truth.
And then just poking fun, just bringing like some real life aspect into it, like, no ID check, like nobody checked his ID. Like, hey, bro, go on home, bro. You an Albert, bro. Your ID is right here, bro. Right. You dyed your hair, and now I'm a fake 86. I'm
right.
86.
I'm like, bro,
man, where your ID at, man?
It threw me off. My brother's hair not even white. When he said that, I was like, so he still
right. He took his glasses off. He got like the white eyebrows.
Oh yeah, white eyebrows. Yeah. That was right.
Like, bro, ain't nobody checked this man ID. Like, come on.
Yeah, that is right.
That's about all I have for part one.
Oh, part one? Yeah, I know to say about when Elena got to 86, like how she finally was able to step into
when she
their
went to
world.
the front lines and stuff.
That's what I wrote down. Like she's finally able to step into their world. You know, obviously after they left, but it was pretty much like she's finally get to see what 86 was like. Like she remembered as a child, but now it's just like the squad that I was actually able to communicate with and grow with essentially over the year. I get to see what life was like, you know. Even mentioned the black cat that they just named any sorts of names and stuff like that. She's trying to look for Fido, but Fido wasn't there, the dog. Until the old man mentioned to us, saw the other robots, just like, oh, Fido wasn't the dog.
So they took Fido with him.
Yeah, you know, and just a significant of that room where they pretty much all gathered together. They all got the postcard.
Yeah, when she found
leaving
the
notes. Leaving the notes of like each of the 5 members. Nice. I thought that was pretty dope.
I thought that was nice.
And to me, I also wrote down was her reading the notes, especially the last. I don't remember word for word what Sheen said in the note, but after he pretty much read it off in third person kind of form, and you see her in the railroad tracks. It was like, again, bringing to her character depth and development going to a part 2. You see her stand on the railroad, just like stand there with that fierce look on her face, like, okay, I got to pick up the torch for what these guys have left for me, because I got to make a change for a world that, you know, that she's already been talking about through our part 1. But that's pretty much what I wrote down for 11.
I definitely thought that was fraud, like when she found the notebook, like when she found the notebook, you know what I mean? And then she seen I guess they had a picture, and then somebody kind of like wrote everybody's name, and she was able to really put a name to the face. Oh, that to me was so fraud, because I was just like I don't know, like I just kind of like thought, like I kind of related it to like, you know what I mean? Like that would be like you playing Xbox with like 5 people that's really in the middle of like. Ukraine or like Palestine, like somebody's in a war, but you're only talking to them like through this, you feel me, on the phone, and then you know what I mean, like you finally seeing what they look like. So I know it was supposed to be emotional, and I did get the emotional weight of most of the episode. But when I seen that did make me laugh, because I was like, bro, you don't even know what they look like. Like that was crazy.
But it goes to like, because they're not trying to humanize them.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, I get that.
That did just remind me one last thing I gotta say about part 1. It took me out in her Billy Badass scene talking to Annette when she holds up the little paper drawing of Sheen. Oh yeah. She's like, his name was Sheen. This is him. And it's like a crayon. I'm like, that's not him.
That's true.
That's not him.
That's true. I was looking like
that part took me out. I'm like, bro.
How did you pull that out?
Stop.
I forgot all about that.
Don't do that.
Oh man, that was funny.
That's funny. That'll do it.
Anything last for part one?
Not that
One.
Any more for part one?
I'm
Nothing good.
All right, y'all, man. Let's get into this second half of 86, man. Episodes, 12 through 23?
Yep.
All right.
Jesus.
So first, obviously, we leave off with our 86 friends running away, going into uncharted territory. And then we are kind of like almost get a time skip, I questioned. And we are introduced to Lena and her new group of 86, which kind of hints that maybe Spearhead died. Because last time, obviously, we seen him, they was kind of in a bad situation and were, you know, we would assume on the doors of death.
Yeah, right.
What do you guys think about that? Opening up into episode 12, seeing Lena and her new team.
Hey, I loved it. I love seeing that new Lena and her new team, especially, you know, like you said, the Spearhead, because I was wondering when I first watched it, I was like, is this the new Spearhead or whatever the case may be? But definitely seeing Lena, her new forefront, her outfit, which like everybody else mentions, like, man, she's demoted. She's wearing the black uniform and not the rest, like the rest of us. But I also think that she, you know, she like how you saying in the beginning of season 1, that she was trying to actually build into her new character. I think this shows greatly with Annette finally being her right side soldier, pretty much, along with her cast of other people that she probably swayed in episode 2 when she had a lecture hall about the truth of the 86 and the Albas and what the country really was a long time ago. I think that was a great little introductory of Lena and her new journey as a handler throughout the rest of the season.
One thing I noticed on episode 12, it really was almost like the beginning of the episode was really almost like a 1-to-1 like mirror like remake of the first of the episode 1, where like, you know what I mean, like it shows her like walking through the city and it shows her walking through the military base. And from that I kind of got you know what I mean, I kind of got like the feeling and the idea of like, okay, like I know something happened to the old 86, they ran away, but since that they were showing us that, I kind of got the feeling like, all right, like not much has changed, you know what I mean? Like we still see Albus drinking in the military base, you know what I mean? Like we still see the like billboard outside, same, you know what I mean, same lady saying the same thing. Yep. So I kind of got the feeling that like, okay, like not much has changed besides, you know what I mean, besides hearing like the new members of the Spearhead, I guess. And they were calling her Queen and Highness. That was throwing me off. I didn't know if that was like military rank she had got, or you know what I mean, if that was just Cyclops like calling her that. I didn't know if it was. I didn't know what the hell was going on.
It could have been a Cyclops thing. Could have been like just respect that she had gotten in 86 circles.
Right. Yeah. That's what I thought.
They
maybe too.
I definitely thought, I was like, hey, if they really killed off Spearhead, they earning some points with me, because that would be ballsy. Like, you know, and I thought there was an avenue for them to do that, because Shin obviously was the main like character that we had spent time with and built up in Spearhead, and his character arc was basically over, as we said at the end of part 1. Where does Shin go now? His character arc is basically over. So I'm like, okay, it'd be pretty ballsy if they killed him off, but I could see an avenue where they could. Like, okay, I'm not really expecting it, because we know the rule with like TV and stuff like that. If you don't see him die like on screen, fade to blacks. No, if they don't die on screen and we see them die, they're probably not dead. I'd already literally come up with a theory early on into episode 12. I was like, okay, either because obviously they had been flashing the dates, the year and the dates. So I'm like, dang, I haven't been keeping track of the dates. Maybe this whole time where they've been off in the unknown territory in the wilderness, Lena's been back at the base, you know, training a new group that's going to be golded, and the same date that they're, you know, in that last fight we see in part 1 and they're in trouble matches up with the same date that Lena would have this group ready, and maybe it cuts back to that moment and it's like Lena's new group saves them. And then I also had a theory where I was like, if they don't get saved by Lena's new group, then maybe they get taken in by some like 86 sanctuary rogue force that may exist outside of District 86 and the grips of the Republic, where like we see sometimes in like more like zombie media, like we've set up some survivor sanctuary, some survivors outpost, survivor sanctuary. I thought it'd be something like that, which I mean to an extent kind of did happen, but those were my theories going into early episode 12, seeing they're showing us a new group.
Yeah, I guess it kind of got my look into how I felt about it. My first time watching, I was excited. I was like, oh yeah, they killed off the main cast. We finally get to see Lena's progression and what she's going to do to like change the country. She's going to have her outlook on everything, but how it went down. But I really like the start of episode 12. I was like, yeah, this is kind of the direction I like to see in shows. I like you kind of there was Shin was the main character. Like, it's actually not him. It actually was Lena the whole time. It wasn't like a joint thing. It was just her. And now we're going to see her progress and keep going forward.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we didn't get like that. But, I'm sure everybody like that, and especially our last discussion, I probably will like that a lot more with Lena's main focal point and all that throughout the story.
Moving on into like more mid 12, we see obviously early on like the same episode, like no, Spearhead's still alive. They've been picked up by this old guy. They're in this lab. They're prodding them and poking them in the butt or whatever they're doing, and they stay there for a little while until they go back to the city, and obviously they move into the house with Ernest, which is the guy that greets them at the lab and takes off the suit or whatever. And we meet the maid, and we meet Frederica, the lolly, which to me is the bane of my existence in this lab. His character is so...
they crazy.
I can see what you're saying.
I love Frederica. That's the crazy one.
What you guys thoughts on, obviously, the reveal that, Spearhead's still alive, and we're going to be moving forward with these characters?
When I first seen that, I'll also make the point of the last episode, season 1, where you actually see the ending going, but you see Sheen's body just laying there decapitated. And, when I first seen that, I was like, whoa, like, they actually killed him off. But like I said, going to season 12 midway, you actually see him still alive. For me, I kind of was like, okay, I don't know how he actually survived here. Where is the, how is it that he survived? Where is the information or the layout of the survival of the rest of the 86? Just to see him being interrogated by Ernest and the rest of the cast, just watching him just, lying there restless.
And not just him.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, not just him.
Look, they all didn't die.
Yeah, right.
The power of friendship.
The power of friendship, yeah. You don't really see too much of that in the show, but I mean, as far as the main cast, you definitely get that.
Well, crops up a couple times.
Yeah. I ain't got too much to say about my surprise to seeing him. I just thought that they could have done a little bit more with the death of that squad, especially how the rest of them pretty much got, it's like they flopped from the explosions. You would think that they had more of a chaotic death rather just them laying there. That was kind of just a letdown for me from season 1 leading to season 2. But other than that, it was okay to me, I guess. They probably could have done better.
Yeah, maybe drag it on a little bit longer, but obviously we see with the direction that part 2 went in, when being so focused on them, we can see why, looking back, they were so quick to be like, oh, yeah, they're alive. Come on. Let's keep the train moving. What was your reaction to them still being alive?
I'm not going to lie, I kind of was opposite of all y'all, man. I had grown attached to Spearhead, definitely Sheen. Yeah. I would say at the end of the first season, where they kind of had like introduced us at the time. What's his name, Curia, in the you feel me in the railgun bot or the Legion bot or whatever. So when Sheen and the old Spirit had ran into them, I'm not gonna lie. If they had killed them off at that moment, like I was fully expecting them to just be like the next like Legion like shepherd or boss that the 86 that like the Spearhead Squad would have to fight. That's what I thought. I thought like okay, Sheen is gonna be, you know what I mean, like the next big like main protagonist for the Legion side, which I mean, you know, would have been cool to see. But like I said, I definitely did grow an attachment to, you feel me, definitely Sheen and Raiden. So I was glad to see that they were still alive. And you know what I mean, just with everything they've been through, you know what I mean, it kind of felt like just desserts. Like, all right, okay, finally they somewhere seem cool. You know what I mean, like maybe they'll be able to move on. You know what I mean, finally go to school, like do whatever they want to do. Like maybe they won't have to fight. You know what I mean? That's kind of that was my reaction to it.
I wouldn't say I was mad. It just is like, here we go with the Dragon Ball treatment where death doesn't matter with enough friendship or enough overpower magical items you can escape death. But I was like, maybe I was kind of optimistic. Maybe it's like some bigger symbolism, or they're trying to show something. Like so, it's not always greener. The grass isn't always greener on the other side, or something like that. Yeah. But again, me personally, in my taste, I much have rather them have died and moved on to the next group. But I also understand why they didn't. So it was okay for me. Just not the take I would have went with it.
Yeah, it didn't seem like there was a lot left to do with those characters.
Yeah.
You know, had you kept them alive. Getting into obviously them moving into Ernest's house, as TJ kind of like pointed out, them slowly like trying to incorporate themselves in like with a new everyday life, incorporate themselves into the society of the Federacy. What you guys make of that? And then their obvious conclusive decision at the end where they're like, nah, we want to go back to the battlefield.
Well, my take on that, when they first got introduced into the new life of the Federacy, it was like, all right, you can tell by their looks on their face that this isn't their home. You know, this is all new to them. It's kind of scary, but it's like you said, at the battlefield. Touch on that in episode 13. But just let's talk about the introduction of Frederica. When I first seen her at the door, it was like, okay, like here we go. And her standing on top of the table, I was like,
that shit was hard.
I was like, oh man, we about to have this annoying character throughout the rest of season 2 just torture us with her annoying voice and her supporting role with who to be, obviously Sheen. It seemed cool to me. As far as them adapting to the new life, it was kind of like it was forced upon them. You know, the Federacy pretty much saying, like, you guys are 86, you know, you see them having a riot outside their limo, you know, pretty much Ernest saying, like, hey, ever since they found out that you guys were being treated as worthless tools and slaves, pretty much, you know, they pretty much threw a right out for you guys. And you kind of see the looks on their faces that was like, okay, that's cool, but we don't really need you guys' pity or anything like that, you know. So, but that's all I pretty much have for that. Yeah, how you guys feel about, you know, them trying to adapt to the new life and living amongst Ernest and Frederick's presence?
You want to go?
Yes. Me personally, yeah, man, I got it wrote right here, man. I love Frederica and Teresa, man.
Oh man, Teresa. Why Teresa?
I'm not gonna lie. I wrote, like, I was writing this as I was watching it.
Okay.
And since I got introduced to them both, I thought that they both were gonna be like.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? Like, I thought they were both gonna be relevant. So.
Okay. Gotcha.
But no, I think. I mean, I thought it was cool. Like you said, I mean, you could kind of see that, like. And I mean, I kind of figured just from knowing, like, okay, they're still like high school kids, but as far as you know what I mean, since they've been big enough to pilot a juggernaut, because they've been on the battlefield, like I wasn't expecting them to, you know what I mean, like find a life of peace per se, especially with, you know what I mean, us knowing that the Legion is still out there, and you know what I mean, the other 86. So I don't know. I was just kind of waiting to see like how long they would be here.
Yeah.
Like when I got introduced to Frederica, I'm not gonna lie. I liked her character. You feel me? I liked the design. I thought it was cool. She reminded me. I don't know. I think just like with the hair and the red eyes. You feel me? I thought that was cool. I think like her standing up and telling them like her kind of trying to take the blame for the Legion because that was a very like glaring thing that I was wondering, like, you know what I mean, like once as soon as they told us like, oh, she's from the old old Gion Federation that made those bots, I was like, damn, I wonder if anybody's gonna talk about this. So for her to stand up and be like, yeah, man, we made the bots and then Bob know the bots kill hella people y'all love, if y'all got a problem with it, you know what I mean? And even though they were able to tell her like, cause 10 years ago you weren't even
that's
you
what
weren't doing no military tactics. You were not you were a toddler. You were not in no position to really, you know what I mean, for us to really hold you accountable. But I thought that was cool of her character to, you know what I mean, have that much like pride in her past and in her, you know, past country that she was able to, you know what I mean, she was willing, like, if it's a problem, bro, you can have a problem with me. I thought that was cool.
Yeah, regarding Spearhead trying to, adapt to normal life inside the Confederacy, I thought it was okay. Obviously, given the genre of the story, we knew that really wasn't going to last long.
Right.
Them getting the different jobs was okay. It does kind of flesh out the characters a little bit more, give them more personality. It speaks to their personality, the kind of jobs that they went after. I like the scene with Theo complaining about the cell phone versus, the repair rate. Oh my God, the cell phone is so less convenient. Yeah. But in the end, bro, they're obviously for the story and the plot to move forward, they had to, but I just couldn't help but laugh at the end when they're like, nah, we're going back to the battle.
yeah. Everybody got together. He like, you ready? It's about time. All right, like they always on the same page. Yeah, I thought that was
and I was just like, because first I wanted to see, okay, are they going to work in? It would be interesting to see them working some of the PTSD with some of these day jobs that they're doing. They didn't really do that, and then I couldn't help but think like, man, don't you know we're anime kids, man? Anime kids fight. We're getting back in the robot. It kind of had that feel to me because I'm like, they're saying it. I'm like, bro, said no veteran ever, bro. They're not going back out there. I'm like, bro. But that was just funny to me.
I thought it was okay. It was like, again, there's a lot of fluff in there. Just like, I guess it was just trying to hit home, like, hey, regardless of where they go, they're always going to be a part of the battlefield, and they feel like if they don't go back out there, they'll be no better than the people that trapped them and made them. But it was cool. I just feel like there should have been more character development in there, like towards it, maybe show some PTSD or people like going out of their way, trying to like, hey, what happened? What's going on? What you guys are gonna do next? It was just weird watching them be FedEx drivers and going shopping. And,
shopping.
Yeah, it's kind of like, it's cool, but. I could have lived with it or without it. This is me personally, but
I think, and Ernest was making some really good points. Like, we do things different than Republic. We're not the Republic. Like y'all, cool. Y'all did y'all part and more. Like y'all need to chill out. Y'all good. True. Like I got y'all. Don't worry about it. Y'all good. Chill out. And they just like continuously like, nah, bro. Don't. Are you trying to disrespect us? Yeah. You know who we are. Like,
you think we soft? You think we can't kill Legion?
Like, man, we gonna keep fighting till it's over.
Right.
Oh, all right, I guess.
Yeah, it was all pretty.
Yeah, they definitely wasn't playing. They definitely wanted to get back to that fighting, bro.
Yeah, but just tack on a little bit for y'all saying the PTSD. I think the only thing that was relative to as far as them showing a little PTSD was during the march when they was displaying the other robots. Yeah. You see Raina was pretty much dressed up, trying to fit in with the rest of the crowd. And, Sheen's at the library talking to the other individual with his sister. Mm-hmm. And then when you finally hear that stump, you seen Theo, Anju, and Karina just have that look on their face that they was, like, ready to battle. That was the closest thing as far as PTSD goes for me. I know you guys mentioned that you would like to see more of that, but that was like the closest thing to that. It was just them ready to go on the battlefield and just that familiar noise that they hear all the time.
Yeah. I remember that scene because that was like, and obviously, you know, different country, they could have like a different culture, but I was like, why are they like showing off military weapons at this parade in the city for like, I guess it was Christmas, but they was like the holy birth because obviously no Christianity, no Christmas, so the holy birthday and.
I don't know. I mean, I kind of that didn't stick out to me that bad. I mean, just because you know what I mean. Like I done been to like they have to hear like I done been to like air shows and shit where they like, oh, it's a real jet, and I'm like, well, the fuck is it a jet here? But at the you know what I mean. At the end of the day, it's kind of like. Yeah, I mean, just more like country pride type shit. So
different place, different culture. But it's kind of it kind of made me think of like the was it like the Sears parade, the little Thanksgiving Day parade, and how weird it would be just and here comes a tank.
I see.
Like, you got all the floats and stuff.
Yeah,
it's like, hey, Scooby Doo, hey, this character, that. Oh, and here comes a tank.
Well, maybe it was like trying to show the people, hey, this is what we have on our side.
It was more flexing, like.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like
we're good.
Exactly. Like everybody calm down. This is what's protecting us.
I think it's a little weird.
Military parade, holiday parade. Like, where we at?
Marriage. Get them bitches together, right? Yeah. Nah. Yeah, for sure.
All right.
Well, I didn't get to say nothing. Frederica would say.
Oh, go ahead.
I disliked her, but we can move on to
Yeah.
I didn't really enjoy her character that much. Yeah.
This can't roll with me. They crazy. I don't know. I really like. I don't know, man. Maybe I got a bias for lollies. I don't know. I thought her character was cool. No R. Kelly, bro. I thought her character was cool.
Bias for lollies.
I'm going to do this real quick.
Yeah.
We see Spearhead, obviously, they choose to leave the common life and they join the Federacy's military. They get a new commander of sorts. We get Lieutenant Colonel Wenzel. This was the great character design to me that I was referring to back in season 1. I loved her character design, and for anybody who watched the sub, I thought the voice was familiar, and she was voiced by Kana Ueda, who is Rin from the Fate series. So she plays Rin in the Fate series, and obviously Rescue Gall and Ishtar. Yeah. But yeah, I liked her character. I liked her as a commander going into this second part.
Yeah, that's cool.
What else did you guys have for like 14, 15?
Also, I did like how they kind of started putting the writing on the wall. Like, they're like, hey, we don't want you to go to battle because we can kind of see that it's going to head in the same direction you guys were in prior, where you guys is going to be this elite mobile unit, and every time shit hits the fans,
we're going to call you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then it kind of did sprinkle in a little bit. It's like, that's why we're so against you guys trying to be on the front lines.
I think I'm trying to think 14 and 15. I think it was cool to see the old Spearhead kind of, or the Nordic squad, whatever they called them. Mm-hmm. I think it was cool to see them like come in and like even though, you know what I mean, like even though coming from San Mongolia, they were, you know what I mean, 86, they were forced to fight. Like even with that being the case, they still had a lot of like valuable like information and experience. Like I liked how they kind of were able. I liked how they were able to show that the characters that we grew attached to, like, you know what I mean. Like they came in and basically like was commenting on their like their model of like combat drone design. They were talking like they literally like made the little Reagan leaps for them. I liked how Sheen was doing backflips in the old models and stuff. Like I thought that was cool. And I also when they showed us, I believe it was episode 14 when they showed us them in battle, I kind of liked seeing how the Confederacy were, you know what I mean, like how they were fighting without like cannon fodder, like slave force, you know what I mean. Like I seen actual soldiers on the ground like shooting, and I was like, okay, so this is what I would have wanted to see from saying, man, you feel me, from the other country. Like, this is how they should have been fighting. Like, you know what I mean? Everybody was together, like, on the front lines. Like, I don't know. I thought it was cool, definitely. It just felt like, it was kind of like seeing, like, an underdog, you know what I mean? And now seeing the underdog, like, with the right equipment and help is kind of, you know what I mean? You feel good. Like, okay, finally they got some help out there. Like, they going to be out there. They want to be out there. At least, like, give them some help. I thought that was cool.
Yeah, episode 14 is pretty cool to me. It brings a couple points from the earlier parts of season 2 where Ernest pretty much kept the gun and scarf from Sheen, which was like, okay, you want to keep that past life behind you. You want to move on to this new life. And then, obviously, changed his thoughts about, I want to go back to the battlefield. One of the key points I wrote down was the memorial for the fallen, 86, where Sheen always carried the scraps of his fallen members of part of 86 of the Spirit Squad, and you see the little monument of what's his name? What's the dog's name? Fido just sitting there. You see the memorial of them, just like you see a memorial of all the people's names and how it actually translate from Elena when in the scene where she was actually writing down the names of all the spirit heads, where she was actually in the cemetery of all the fallen people with their headstones and all that, and you get to see this monument of all the names that they engraved that was part of that box that Sheen carried around, and you kind of see the look on his face was like, that shouldn't have been moved, but I appreciate what you guys done for me.
Yeah, literally.
And then you also see Frederica come back around. You see Fido in the back and saying, listen, I resurrected him pretty much how you guys mentioned in season 1. How he was never dead to begin with. That was pretty fraud to me. But, even with just Sheen just recognizing.
Plot armor.
even Sheen just recognizing that's Fido, everybody was just how you know it's him? It's like,
I'm going to say, I knew off the rip. It's the only robot that's doing backflips, bro. Like,
yeah, exactly. Yeah, that was pretty fraud to me. But, episode 14 Memorial, pretty whole little significant part in my heart as far as the main point of episode 14.
Yeah, speaking back to Shin getting his pistol back from Ernest. We see it used here, unfortunately, at the end of episode 14, where Eugene, Shin's Alba friend in the Confederacy's army, gets injured, and once again, Shin is responsible for killing somebody before the Legion can basically harvest their brain or their soul or whatever.
Yeah,
and that ends up becoming really big going into the later half of this part 2, because we see Eugene and his interactions with Sheen and him talking about his little sister and how almost something different than what we've gotten from Shin putting down any of his other previous comrades, because he sees like, okay, he got family waiting for him at home. He got like something to live for, which is something that Sheen, of course, can't relate to.
Yeah, right. even the other soldiers that had beef with him during the little squad drill, practice squad, you see him approaching, it's like, you just gonna do that to him? Sheen just walking away, and you see the other commanding officer just kind of apologizing to the guy's, place. It's like, hey, man, it's like, you don't have to do this. You can always go back to live your life. This isn't something that you have to do. And then Sheen just go back to his old self, recognizing that the Legion is approaching. It's like, hey, go back, do what you gotta do. Go back to your post before you get squashed. But yeah,
it was a bad symbolism there to show like no matter like how far you go, your bullshit's always gonna carry you. Yeah, exactly. So you kind of see like look on his face when he had the pistol. He's like, "Oh, thanks," but he's kind of just like that was something I kind of intended to leave not past. Yeah.
All habits die hard.
That's kind of crazy. 14.
We get kind of like an age reveal for Spearhead. When Wenzel was talking to him, she says that she was in their very place 10 years ago, and she is 28 or 27. So we know now the Spearhead is 17, give or take. Y'all got anything for, say, 16? My bad, 18, 19?
19.
Yeah, this is around the start of their suicide mission, quote unquote.
Oh yeah, that was
They gotta go destroy the Morpho.
Yeah, I think it was interesting to see. I think it was interesting to see how the Federacy was kind of dealing with similar issues that the Albas were dealing with from a government standpoint. Like a lot of the top military heads, especially like when they got together, as far as you know what I mean, like a big alliance. A lot of them were saying like, "Hey, bro, y'all got, you feel me? Y'all got 586." Like them, like I believe one person had a quote that was like, "The sharpest knives tend to be used the most often until they break," or something like something along the lines of them basically saying like, because they're our best chance, and even though they are kids and they're young, and we hate to put them in this position. Because we kind of need them to, you know what I mean, go back to what they were doing. Like, we're going to have to, you know what I mean? Like, they're going to have the whole, you know what I mean, the whole country's fate on their shoulders again, like they did, you feel me, with the Albas. Like, it sucks, but they the best we got, you feel me? Like, they're our best chance of, you know what I mean, like, getting to the Morpho, and, you know what I mean? So it was kind of, I like to see that kind of comparison brought up, because it made the situation seem very, like, you know what I mean, like realistic and grounded. Like, you feel me, this isn't just like end of the rainbow, oh, we get a new country so everything's perfect. It's kind of like, nah, bro, like reality hit the same shit. We kind of, you know what I mean, we kind of in the same bad place that we've been in. So I thought that was cool. I'm trying to think, I thought a cool scene was when Frederica basically was like realizing like they're sending them on another suicide mission, and you know what I mean, she got upset with Sheen. I thought that was cool. In
the room.
Yeah. And I also feel like I really like Frederica's character, because I really liked her power. Like, even though because I feel like in the first season, like in the first part, I feel like with Sheen, like the way they introduced his power, it was kind of like, I don't know, like I felt like it wasn't done the best. Like, it was just kind of like thrown at you, and like I said, I felt like they kind of used that to just jolt ahead the pace whenever they needed to. But I feel like the use of like a power was done a lot better in the second half with Frederica. Just as far as like, you know what I mean, like she saw key moments in certain battles, so you know what I mean, she was the character they used for the like she was that character that kind of, you know what I mean, that kind of like almost like that kind of late realization character. She had a lot of lines like that, and there were a lot of different scenes where she was consoling the different 86, like as they were in battle, and like when Eugene passed and she was talking to Sheen about it. I feel like her, you feel me, having that power, like even though she was supposed to be a kid, I feel like she was very mature for her age, and really helped kind of ground them, and like, you know what I mean, so the 86 weren't too like, I don't know, bro. I liked her additions.
Was she a kid or was she just small?
She was a kid. They said she was a kid. She was a kid, bro.
I thought she was older, but she was just small, because you see her in like the flashback scenes and stuff.
Right. She was the same size.
Right.
Right.
But I thought she was just a small adult.
It's interesting something about her powers, because I just like her just a power, but oh man, she has a power because her blood is so pure, she can see the future. It's kind of just like, this is plot convenience at that point. It was like to kind of catch her up and give her an excuse to why she could be on the battlefield. It was kind of just like,
okay, I can see that.
Yeah, it was like, I guess.
And her kind of like struggling with the idea of everybody's making a sacrifice to fix my mistake, but me. I'm just like sitting here chilling.
Right.
She definitely had she wanted to actionize. Like, she wanted to actionize herself and help in whatever way she could.
True.
Obviously, we see with the Confederacy in these couple episodes, like 16 through 18, is a lot of talk about whether they should or should not use them for this mission.
Yeah.
And we see that they're not corrupt, but they're more balanced.
Yeah.
And they are kind of what they present to be. There are people who are like, no way, we shouldn't do this. Then there are people who are like, hey, we got to look at the interest of the country as a whole,
Right.
and we should definitely consider doing this. So I thought that was interesting that it wasn't just like, oh, behind closed doors, the Confederacy is corrupt and they're just like gung ho, like send them out there, fuck them, whatever. Even behind closed doors, there were politicians and people high up in the military that were arguing like, nah, let them chill, like don't send them on this mission.
Right.
Yeah.
True. Yeah.
Like, the president was like, I can't remember his exact name, but his character was just. It was dope. It was my favorite character.
Yeah.
The second half.
Ernst. Ernst.
Yeah.
He's the GOAT, bro. I literally put Ernst.
His character is like just super real. Like he was probably like the most like relatable character in my opinion. Cause like everyone else wasn't too relatable. But yeah, that's just my opinion at least though.
Oh, for sure. No, he definitely.
Incredibly relatable.
Yeah, he definitely has some good lines. I feel like when they had that argument about, you know what I mean, like if it would be morally right to use the 86 and send him on a mission, he definitely told one of the other like military officials, he had said something along the lines of like, you feel like there's no way that we can do the mission without being like morally, you know what I mean, corrupt, or like without doing the like cold-hearted thing. But he was like, bruh, if that's the case, the whole country is gonna burn on my ideal. He literally was like, bro, if that's the case, we're gonna do the right thing, and if it all goes belly up, it is what it is. Like, we're gonna continue to do the right thing. So yeah, I definitely thought that was cool.
Yeah, I do like it wasn't more of like them they just being forced to do it. It was more like a choice. I think went out of the way to make sure, like right before they went on a mission, that one guy was like, hey, we wouldn't blame you if you guys left. Just know we would be fucked, but it's your choice.
right.
Yeah, so it was like, I
That is
definitely
true,
like, they put the choice out there. There's a regardless of what it's going to be, if we ran away, we would be no better than everybody else.
Yeah.
So at least I had the choice too.
Yeah. But how do you guys feel about Sheen's behavior, acting on the battlefield, his bloodlust, fighting the Legion? I thought that was kind of interesting pinpoint of Sheen. You know, after he met Frederica, you know, she's kind of like seeing her older brother within Sheen. She even mentioned to him, like, don't be like him. You know, even after the artillery shell from Legion actually blew up the base and he protected her from that. And she kind of knew, it's like, you going out there? He's like, yes. And she's like, whatever you do, don't become my brother, because she can see it in him. Even that little flashing that when he was fighting the Legion, she can see within that he's like having that evil smirk or that dark, gloomy look on him. It's like something else taking over him, you know. But in my opinion, I think that was just from all the years of him just fighting the Legion, just finding, like, just grasps him. Like, this is something that, it's not that you just felt like you had to do. This is something that you've grown into. You was grooming to like doing this, you know, kind of thing. The Legion kind of like put a little, it's like they just added a little bit of Legion blood in you. Like, you have a bloodlust to actually go out and kill the Legion rather than you actually want to fulfill your mission. It's like a little satisfactory kind of thing. That's at least what I got from it, for that comparison.
I more looked at it as like, it was like an evil, like a bloodlust thing. It was like the voices, like, he saw it his job to put those voices like to put them out of their misery.
Yeah,
that's how I
like
kind
to
of
rest.
looked at
Yeah,
it. Maybe you are right, but that's how when I was watching, I was like, oh, he's like that because he doesn't want to see these people suffering. And he looked at it as his personal job to be the ones that put them out of their suffering.
I think kind of to piggyback off what Theo said. I get that sentiment. I see what you're saying. To me personally, I feel like. Just like the different flashes that we see of Sheen really enjoying combat. But also, like I said, since we know everything we know about the 86 and his character, personally, we know that, like, you know what I mean? Like, he's hearing these voices. He's trying to put these people to rest. You know what I mean? He's walking around with this burden and this survivor's guilt. But I did get the feeling, which is why I really like Sheen, because I felt like it was a good duality with, you know what I mean, like with him having a a righteous mission, and you know what I mean, him doing something that he thinks is right and honoring, you know what I mean, his comrades that have fallen. But also, I felt like he really just, and he even says it like in episode, I think it's like 20 or 21. Like he literally says like he loves combat, bro. That's when he feels at peace. Like when he doesn't have to think about all that, and he's just focusing on fighting. Like when I seen it, I just thought like, okay, damn, like this, like he has a good reason to fight. But this nigga really just loves to fight. Like he really, you know what I mean? Like he really enjoys combating these, you feel me, these drones and defeating them.
Yeah, because you can pick apart in season 1 where, you know, when it was him going after his brother, you can see those little moments of him smirking,
grinning and smirking and enjoying
his brother. It was just like, I'm right there. Like you couldn't depict exactly like why is he smirking for? Is it because you're right there? You're gonna have the ability to put your brother at rest, or is it because the thrill of the battle that you find to put your brother to end the rest of the Legion, and now because of that, you know that just carries on to your next life, you know, in the Confederacy. You know, but that's what I just depict from that as far as from episode 16 onward up to the final fight.
Just piggybacking off your point with what TJ said about him wanting to fight and loving to fight, I felt like, as Theo said, the bloodlust thing could have been like sort of validation, because leading up to that episode, one of the arguments that we do hear time and time again as to whether or not they should be sent on a mission is whether they're just like corrupted by battle, they're like monsters, they're like, you know, all they know is battle. And we've kind of seen this to an extent where they choose to leave the normal life and like, yeah, we'd rather go back to battle. This is all we know. We're kind of like, they're battle hungry in a sense. And that's, I think the scenes where we see Sheen like that are kind of almost like a validation of, you know, that argument is to an extent true. Like they are like this because this is what they know. But that's kind of just what I took from that.
We're talking about this, like, something I thought was funny, like, when he finally revealed to, like, the other commanders his power, and they was like, oh, point to where they're at, because it portrays, oh, he can just hear the Legion, but now it's like, oh, he has this UAV in there, and he can see right where they're at. He's like, oh, yeah, they're here, they're going to be moving to the north, this is exactly what they're doing. It's just like, the fuck?
But I also think, like, as far as plot, I think they were, like, me, like, I guess, like, hearing you raise up that question is like, damn, that's crazy as fuck. But, like, like, when I watched it, you feel me, I just assumed that because it's off of, because they're basically saying he always hears their voices, and we know that, you know what I mean, like, some of them, where they be, like, the shepherds or whatever, they're the ones that are giving the orders. Like, when I seen that, I guess I just kind of figured, like, you know what I mean? Like, dang, he been at the crib, like, hearing them, like, saying, like, get ready, we about to move here, we about to do this and that. You know what I mean? So, I just, you know what I mean? I just kind of attribute that to, I feel like his intelligence as a character, like, he was able to, you know what I mean? Like, he's really paying attention, and it's not just, like, schizophrenia, like, it's, you feel me? It's not like how it was presented to us or Lena, how it was just a bunch of voices, and you don't know what the fuck is going on. I feel like I just kind of credit it to, he had that power so long that he was able to, you know what I mean? He's able to tune it out. He can listen. But I mean, like, for real, like, when, you know what I mean? Like, when Kyria is telling them, like, hey, or, like, even on episode, like, 18 or 19, when they faked him out, like, I thought that was hard, you feel me? Because I thought, you know what I mean? Like, he literally told them, like, hey, everybody clear the area out. They gonna come in. We gonna do this. Y'all gonna move back. Then this. So, you know what I mean? So, in my head, I'm thinking, like, if he's at the crib and that's all he's hearing, because they robots. They AI. They always talking. They always. So, if he's just hearing that, people saying, hey, go over here, do this. You feel me? Get together at this point. We can move to that point.
But to play devil's advocate, if you heard 1,000 motherfuckers talking in your head, would you be able to, like, really?
Right.
and to that I would say, if I heard 1,000 people talking in my head over the course of, nigga, 8 years, you don't think I would be able to pinpoint that one voice of Jordan? At some point, bro. Yes, at some point, bro, you gonna be able to. All right.
So you're saying if you're in a basketball arena, everyone is screaming, and
yes,
8 years,
bro,
you'd be able to point out Jordan's.
Yes, I'm telling you, if you was to walk up to Michael Jordan and be like, could you tell Scottie Pippen's voice in the crowd? If he told me, low key I'd be like, I might be like them. That's crazy, but you know what I mean. I'm not gonna be like, oh hell no, it ain't no way. I'm like, cuz y'all already telling me this nigga's hearing the dead all the time, and he not crazy now. So you know what I mean. At some point, he doesn't have to develop something, bro. He got to develop some way to either block it out, tune it out, focus on certain voice. Like, because if not, he would be, you know what I mean? If not, he would not be able to function in no capacity, especially not with a pair rate in his ear.
Yeah, because he even mentioned, and I think part 1, season 2 was season 1, where he mentioned that, hey, I can hear my fallen squad mates.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, he can hear. Yeah,
so Elena even mentioned, like, how do you know? He's like, I hear Kai's voice. She ended up dying from the lead, so that's kind of. That could kind of be a supporting.
That's just
because you can.
I see what you're saying though. Like, saying it out loud sounds fraud as fuck. Yeah, and since they didn't really explain the powers a lot in the show,
I just thought it was funny.
It leaves a lot up to.
I thought it was funny. Like, my man, GPS, like, oh yeah.
No, yeah, that
got a tracking device on all of them.
Yeah, that shit was fraud.
I was kind of with Dwayne on this one. Just the way the power was shown and the power was used up to that point, you kind of like just assumed, okay, they're close enough for he to hear them, or they're not close enough for him to hear them. That's how he can kind of tell when they're coming or where they are. I didn't really perceive it as
I see what you're saying.
You know, like he hacked their comms and he's listening in on a conversation, like he's hacking their comms. Yeah, it's just like, okay, they're either close enough for me to hear this crazy noise, or they're not.
But see, that's the thing. I feel like I don't know. Like when I seen it, like when it was introduced, because like I said, I kind of complained in the first half. I was like, you feel me? Like I feel like they're not explaining the power. I feel like it's just kind of like, you feel me? Like a poorly used plot device. Like they're just giving us information through him at will. It doesn't matter. You feel me? But I guess like. Me, like, watching the show, and like I said, like, the way that they kind of showed it to us and how it sounded to Lena, and then, like, them showing, like, his brother or the other dude, Kyria, and, like, you hearing, like, how, like, bloodlusted and almost, like, like, crazy they were on the field, like, screaming, like, bro, screaming, I'm gonna kill you, I'm gonna kill you, I'm gonna kill you. I'm like, cuz if I knew that that's who that was, and you're telling me I hear that all the time, and I hear it over any distance, I would be able to tell you that nigga's coming up the steps right now, because I can hear him yell, you know what I mean? So when I looked at it, I just thought it like, the shepherds or whoever the commanders were, they were characters like that who were so, like, over the top. Like, not only are they giving orders, but like I said, like, they screaming at the top of their lungs. They're doing that. You feel me? He's able to really pinpoint that out of just the regular run-of-the-mill, get me out of here. But he can tell, like, oh, shit.
Like in the first half, it's like how Jordan explained it. They definitely more explained it like he hears them in a certain facility. But in that scene is at this big-ass map of the country. Like, oh, here, 5,000 meters here, 6,000 miles there, here. It's like...
And even later on, to that, like, almost like him hearing them in the vicinity, it's like they're going and they're traversing the land, and they're like, okay, well, he's going to help us, like, avoid where they're coming from.
Exactly, yeah.
And, like, just, okay, they're closing in, they're getting close, we got to hide or we got to do this, and basically just go around them using that power, being like, okay, when I'm close to them, I'll know, so that helps me avoid them.
Yeah, it was definitely.
I don't know, bro.
They definitely changed the power to fit the line.
I don't think so, bro. I don't think so, because I feel like, and that's the thing that I feel like is really interesting to me is like how y'all are, you know what I mean, like how you're critiquing it in the second half, but I feel like it was done better in the second half than it was in the first half when we're just finding out about it. Like I feel like, I don't know, like, and like I said, it might just be the way that I'm thinking about it, but. Like, with him describing it and him saying, like, since I died, I hear it all the time. And he literally was like, you feel me? At first, it was hard for me to sleep, and now I can sleep. Like, different stuff like that. I feel like throughout the show, I don't know, like, I kind of thought of it like, imagine if it was, like, 1,000, imagine if it was, like, 1,000, like, Beats pills, and they all playing music. Now, you feel me? No, really think about it. If you got 1,000 Bluetooth speakers and they all making noise, now from a distance, you feel me? You can hear them all the time. You have that power. You got the power. You can hear Bluetooth speakers all the time. if I put them somewhere and they're all together, you're going to be able to tell, like, okay, it's a large group of them this way. Now, if you know the one Jordan got is playing music by Chris Brown and the one he got is playing music by Drake, now, if you're able to really, you feel me? If you dealing with it that long, you able to tell, you going to be able to know, like, okay, it's all a jumble from where I'm at. But it kind of sound like it might be Chris Brown over to the east. They might be playing this over there. That's kind of how I viewed it. Like, you feel me? Because at the end of the day, they're literally telling you, they're literally telling you that they're making noise all the time. The black sheeps and the shepherds are making noise all the time. When they run into him on the battlefield, everybody else in the group is hearing that. Everybody else in the group hears that once they get close enough. So if you're telling me he hears it all the time, he doesn't have to be close enough to hear it. Then you feel me? I'm gonna theorize. Like, okay, well, this nigga is smart enough. He's intelligent enough. He done worked his power out enough. He got the kinks worked out enough where he's able to, you know what I mean? He's able to pinpoint better where that shit's coming from or what direction. Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. Like, y'all saying that sound crazy in the second half. I'm like, bro, in the first half when I heard it, I was like, this shit sound dumb as hell, y'all. But y'all let that slide. But now we here and y'all like, nah, there's no way he's able to pinpoint it. I'm like, bro, he been doing that.
Yes, it's the scale.
Okay.
It's just that scene in particular where they're looking at the map and he's saying like, I do think in both part 1 and part 2 they were incredibly consistent with the power. Yes, he can hear them. Yes, they're consistent with him being able to hear them at a certain range. Right. But never beyond that scene do they really hint at him being able to detect them at super far ranges. Like we kind of like see in that scene. It's like until then they've been consistent with him having somewhat of a limited range with his power.
But even that, I feel like you're tacking that on. Because I feel like you're tacking on that.
That's what was shown.
No, hear me out. Because in the show, all they tell us about this nigga power is he can hear them all the time. That one right there, that automatically told me, nigga, there ain't no range. Because, hear me out. Because like I said, the other people in Spearhead, they're audibly hearing the noise these robots are making, right? They're audibly hearing the noise. So if they get close enough, and it's a big group of them, they hear that noise, right? That's what Lena's hearing. When he said it's black sheep here, it was a bunch of Legion. It was a bunch of black sheep making that noise. It was so many of them that it was loud. It was like a crowd. It was like a noise. You just told me he hears it all the time, day and night. So you're telling me you thought the Legion was just outside their range the whole first time? You never thought they went back to base? You never thought they got it completely out of the area? And he's hearing it from thousands of miles away? You're telling me he can hear voices of the dead all the time, bro. I'm not thinking they're at a certain range where he can hear it, and he the only nigga that can hear it. Yeah. That mean he can hear them, nigga. They're in Africa. He hears them. Like, he has that power. He hears them. He talks to the dead. You telling me, you feel me, you a ghost hunter, you see ghosts, but you can only see ghosts when you get in the house?
Let me explain like this.
No.
With the world basically more or less being overrun by the Legion, it is not a stretch to think he could always hear the Legion, let's say if the power extended maybe 10, 20, 50, 80 miles. But on the map, he's showing them like...
Okay, I see what you're saying, yeah.
300 miles away, 400 miles
away. That's the thing.
That's what I'm like, there is a way that you could range it to where... Okay, they're always, because there's so many of them and they basically rule the world, then, okay, you're always within a 80-mile radius of the Legion.
See, that's great. Yeah,
but for him to be on this map and be like, okay, 300,000 miles this way, it's 50, like, bruh.
It was a bit of a stretch.
That's when I was just
Legions on, I don't know. I never thought that. I never thought they were just out. You feel me? Like, I never thought they were just a little bit away. Because I'm like, if he can hear them all the time, that means, nigga, when they leave, when they go back, when they regroup, when they rebuild it, he can hear them.
And then District 86 can only be so big.
But you got to remember, San Magnolia is supposed to be an entire country. So that's what I'm saying. I feel like the limits that you're putting on the power, I feel like the limits that you're saying the power has, I feel like the show didn't give us a lot of information, and you just kind of, you know what I mean? You just kind of filled in the blanks, whereas I filled in the blanks differently. That's all.
When was he in San Magnolia?
Sandman, go, bro.
He was always in
District
District
86 is right outside of the other 85 districts of San Mangolia. I'm
That's
saying
so, right?
you're talking about they're 80 miles away, as in the district and all of it itself is the size of like a state. I'm saying they told us from the jump, San Mangolia is a country. So with that being the case, my scale is already. I'm thinking like. You feel me? I'm thinking like they're in Canada and the Legion is in North America. Like they're right there. That's still a huge body of land. So if you telling me somebody in Ontario can always hear the Legion around them and the Legion's coming from the United States, I'm not thinking they're just right on the border. I'm thinking cuz these niggas go back. If these niggas go back to Washington, D.C. to refuel, he can hear them because you told me he can hear them wherever they're at. And they're attacking a whole entire country. That's what I'm saying.
I think just off of what they showed us on the maps,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Now that's what I'm saying. Now if you looking at it and you like, damn, that shit look far. I'm like, that's what I said because I feel like the show didn't give us a lot of information, and from what y'all telling me, y'all filled in the blanks one way, and I filled it in a different way.
I went off the feats. Like I'm a huge feats guy. So the feats, what the power was it continental fucking level?
I see what you're saying.
The show could have been over season 1. He could have been, hey, I got this continental level power. I know exactly where these niggas is at.
And he literally could have.
We're about to wipe these niggas out.
That's my thought. My thought is he literally could have. If he wasn't an 86, if he was a San Mangolian, and he could come to them and be like, cuz it's a huge number. They're here. And he could have garnered that respect of his opinion. They would have done that. But the fact that he was 86, you feel me? From the jump, I'm thinking he could have done that. They just didn't care. They're like, bro, they 80. Bro, you're an 86. They're gonna be done in 2 years. Why are you talking?
Okay.
You feel me?
Yeah. I was just saying. I don't know. I just thought it was hilarious for him. For him
just to be
I
like,
can jack in on any of the Legion whatever I want and pinpoint. I don't know.
He said jack in.
Because they never did explain like his scaling. Because I mean, even
for sure.
I mean, there is multiple scenes and all throughout the show. I mean, there was a scene where they was going through Music Park and he stopped at that tunnel. He's looking down there, even Raiden was just like,
right, yeah, he could
why
bro.
you stopping for?
Yeah,
he's like, I've been tracking this thing the whole time.
He told him,
he
told him this motherfucker been following us.
Then you had another scene, like I said before, with the bombshell blowing up and him protecting Frederica. I mean, he anticipated that just the moment they got there
too.
But I understand the scaling because it's like it's not even about superhearing. It's just like tacking on saying about the scaling of what he can hear, the voices. It's just not explained in detail. Like
my mind just immediately went
because like they said, the map is like really far.
Yeah,
but even Fresco is saying like I sent Legion all across the continent, so they on the continent. You would think that he would hear from that scale, but just on the map itself, it's not fully.
And that's the thing too, is I'm thinking like they're using his power as like, you know what I mean? Like realistically, if you fighting between two factions, cause somebody being able to see 50 miles ain't really shit in the grand scheme of, like, they were using his power like he's been continental from the jump. Like, they were using his power like he could see. Damn, I could see the whole force coming, bro. They got this much. They're coming from this far. We got this much time. Like, that in and of itself said to me, like, his scope has got to be so big that, you know what I mean? Like, not only can he tell, like, where they coming from, but he can tell, like, the size of them, how, you know what I mean? Like, he can gauge how far they are, how much time they got, like, all that type of stuff. So with all that, like, with it being so useful, I just assumed, like, the scale of it was that, you feel me, that big already.
It was very open-ended.
Exactly.
I don't know, I just feel like they went from one extreme to, you know.
No, for sure. I definitely feel like they could have did a lot better with explaining what this was.
It went from, we're protecting one city to he could hear and damn near an entire battlefield.
Yeah, because there's multiple scenes where just before battle happens, he just like,
that's what I'm saying.
I can feel the storm. I can hear the voices.
He'll be ready, bro, in the juggernaut. Like, come on, y'all. Like, how do you always know? He's like, I can hear him.
Yeah, I can hear him.
Yeah, I took that they got in range and he could hear them.
Oh, see, no, yeah. Well, and that's what I'm saying. Like, you feel me? You could argue either way. Like, you could argue like, oh, they got close enough. He heard him, but you feel me? I'm thinking like, cause he, you know what I mean? Like, he know.
That reminded me. I don't know why, but it reminded me of the scene where he was actually talking to Raiden in the hallway, and Raiden was like, pretty much like, what are you gonna do? And Sheen's just pretty, I'm gonna shake shit up now because shit's about to go down. And that's where you see him pointing the gun at one of the commander officers. It was like trying to warn us, like, hey, the Legion is coming. You know, none of them believe him until they get on the front line. Just like, man, hopefully he's right. He's gonna get shot in the back. And lo and behold, you see this massive attack of legions attacking all the fronts of the west front, east front, south, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And they just all wonder, it's like, how in the hell did he know that they
and the information he had, like, he was telling Lena, like, it's hella black sheep, it's hella shepherds. Yeah. Shepherds do this. Their armies are way bigger. It's more than anything you ever seen. You know what I mean? Like, all the information he had was leading me to believe that he could see on really large scale, like, the forces that they had and what they was working with, as opposed to, you know what I mean? He just hearing them when they get in range and he guesstimating like, dang, I think they got a lot, cause you know what I mean? So.
It's not great, but I was like,
no, for sure.
His and her power definitely probably conveniences.
No, they definitely were. See, that's crazy. I would say his, bro. His was crazy. The fact that he was just carrying the plot at points, bro, like mid-sentence, hey, shut up, Legion coming. I'm like, bro, and we're not getting no indication
of
that.
They're just like,
yeah, it's a look off in the head like a dog, literally like a dog, bro.
Not like for plot.
Legion coming.
What? I mean, they could have just created a Legion radar or something.
I swear to God, they could have just. I swear to God, they could have just had some type of sonar UAV, like, oh, they're getting in range.
It's hard to believe they got these black boy. They try to have a fucking blackbird, but they
right.
got cameras in the sky.
Right.
All right, moving towards the end of part 2, man. Episode 19. So we got Spearhead's newest suicide mission.
Oh yeah.
The third, fourth one of the show already. Obviously they hop in the big plane, the Blackbird type looking plane, and they get dropped off. They got to destroy the Morpho, which is it was the one that was like shooting the shit from the sky.
Yeah, the rail gun.
The rail gun.
Yeah.
And so they
that
do like
was crazy.
As TJ alluded to earlier, a fake out scene where they like come up on one that had been injured. They had shot him with like this cannon thing, and then they find out that that's not Kiryu.
Yeah.
That Kiryu is actually like literally over on this hill, like 300 feet away. What'd you guys make of that scene? Just the old railgun like almost like starting up, like, oh, they fixed it, and then it's out, no, it's still injured, but then it's like, oh, over there.
Yeah.
I thought it was very smart as far as it. I feel like it was really like probably one of the only times that we really see the Legion display. You know what I mean? Like any sort of like advanced like military like strategy as far as like. I feel like everything before this we've seen was just like more numbers. Like, oh, they got more. But I feel like this was the first time where they showed us like, oh no, they kind of set shit up. You feel me? They kind of corralled them in this area. And then they were able to, you know what I mean, like execute this kind of like advanced sneak attack. So I thought that was cool. I also liked how they showed what else? I also liked how they showed the never mind.
Yeah, I like the Legion to Legion defiance in this scene was something that I noted down. I didn't know really. I didn't expect it, and I didn't think it was like something that was even really capable of happening.
Right.
Because obviously we have the scene where Kiryu and Sheen are about to have like their one-on-one fight, and I think the Legion, like commander or whatever, is trying to call a retreat.
Yes,
and he's like, nah, we about to duke it out, whatever. No retreat, no retreat.
Oh yeah,
but
that's right.
obviously, of course, the Legion forces do end up retreating, and we have like episode 20, just all about them like having a little rest stop and talking about the whole situation with Frederica and Kiryu before obviously they go back to trying to hunt down Kiryu and the Morpho.
Yeah, I definitely like that because it definitely showed, like, because before we didn't know there was a hierarchy, we kind of just thought the Legion was just out there on fuck shit. But it's like, it was actually like a order thing.
Kind of like a mindless horde.
Yeah.
Or like a hive mind is what I thought.
Yeah, which puts the question, like, when they get these brains, it's like, oh, the higher IQ you have, they're going to put your body in a bigger, better.
Exactly,
They don't really explain that. But I thought it was cool. It was nice to see that, there's other Legion out there that have bigger IQ that's making plans, trying to like screw them over, which is interesting because like they outnumber them by so much, but they still have to use trickery and stuff like that to be able to get them. Because like, would it have really made a big difference if Shin and them would have went straight to the real one? Probably not. It's just like, yeah, probably not. In their minds, at least, it was the same outcome. So it's like, what was really the point? Were they that scared of him?
Kind of like build the.
Yeah. But I'm just saying from like a Legion perspective, it's like, were they just like, were they terrified? It's like, yeah, that one right there. Nah, he has to go. Or
I mean, yeah, you could argue that. Like, I think Kiryu did say something along those lines to Shin. Like when he had him on the ropes, he did say something like, "You would be a great addition to the Legion."
Yeah.
But then he turns around and says, "Like you're too dangerous for me to take that chance to not just kill you right here."
Yeah.
So yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, but I thought it was a good episode. I think they did a lot more Legion explaining than most of the other shows.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I'm with you on that. I think that the whole time it's like, is there some sort of hierarchy to this Legion? You know, is it just some mindless storm that just fallen by soulless people that was lost on the battlefield and other civilians? I ain't got too much to say about that, so I was just worrying about that during the whole time.
Yeah. Then it brought into questions like, how much control do they really have once they're inside the Legion, especially because they were like going at each other? It's like, so is this his personality, or is it like when he's in it, is it like taking over part of his brain and another part of his brain really fighting it? It didn't really go into like deep detail about that.
Yeah, I think like Jordan said, I think showing that Legion to Legion discourse and back and forth, I feel like that was really important to understanding a lot of what was going on. I feel like towards the end, I was trying to pay a bit more attention to like, I don't know, just like different dialogue and like nuances. So I feel like I was able to pick up on certain things. Like Frederica did say that he was bloodlusted and went insane before he had even died. So like seeing him like, you know what I mean, be like crazy or whatever the case may be, I was kind of understanding. And then I tried to compare that to like Sheen's brother. You know what I mean? I was like, you see, Sheen's brother wasn't as adamant or didn't seem as like aggressive or bloodlusted or whatever the case may be. So I don't know. I feel like then they said like the Legion takes a copy of your brain at that moment. So I felt like maybe the people inside really did have a lot of their same like personality, and you know what I mean, like because like obviously they knew their loved ones and still like I felt those feelings. But like you said, I think maybe it was just like a kind of Legion override. Like, you might feel this way, but the mission is this. So, and like everything they showed us, every Legion, whoever that they showed us, their like entire perception was kind of skewered in the fact, you know what I mean? In the fact that like they were trying to either get people to join the Legion but then again, some people were like, just ready to die, and they were like, "Can you please put me to rest? I'm tired of fighting," but like they didn't have no control over it. So.
Yeah, because that reminds me of
it was kind of weird.
That reminds me of the scene where Sheen actually looked at his fallen comrades, and you see a big group of people that was just holding their heads, just headless. You know, and that's a pretty interesting point. I like to tack on to what you're talking about there, about the whole Legion and seeing what their purpose is and what they actually get out of it.
Yeah, I think that was something that could have been a bit more. I don't know. I feel like this show kind of would have benefited from it being like maybe like a head AI or you know what I mean, like a head Legion AI or something that you know what I mean. That is kind of that is kind of like the final like thought or like is making a lot of the head decision as far as like what we're attacking and how they're going about it. Because like you said, like you would think. But if it's a computer program and it knows it's outnumbering you in attrition, why wouldn't it just be a huge game of attrition? Like, why wouldn't it just continue to make more Legion and throw as much Legion as it can at you? Like, why is it even trying to have battles and, you know what I mean, like, adapt and change? I don't know.
Yeah, because even the people who's like, hey, as long as Railgun here, we're fucked. And you can kind of see that the Legion, like, their forces get spread out for some weird reason. But it's like, obviously, they kind of know that. And it's like, oh, yeah, we can send all Legion here to protect it, but fuck it, we're gonna spread it out. So it's kind of just like
I kind of took that as like almost like a Kiryu ego thing.
Oh yeah,
man. Let me, don't interrupt my fight. Like this is my fight.
He did say, he did say that.
Yeah, and
he did say that.
To Dwayne's point about like the highest IQ, it did kind of have me question like, okay, somebody's getting the Morpho, orders. Do they have a weapon that's even more advanced, more powerful than the Morpho? But again, like you said, maybe it could just be maybe a higher IQ person, maybe somebody who was a commander for one of these human armies or whatever, and then they say, okay, we're just going to put you in a scout drone or whatever, and that will allow you to have communication with everyone else and kind of lead. Before we get into the final fight and wrapping everything up, one of the bigger core elements for this second half, kind of mirroring Shin's whole thing with his brother, was Frederica and her knight Kiryu's relationship and their backstory in this second half. For me, it was kind of confusing to follow, but I just wanted to open up discourse in case anybody wanted to speak on that before we got to the finale.
Yeah, I agree. It was confusing, and it was kind of unneeded. I'd much have rather them kill like just some random commander. I feel like to give Frederica like her own little villain she had to try to kill is kind of just like I get it for people that like Frederica for her character development, but I feel like she still could have had that character development still on the battlefield without Kiri being the person that was going out to fight. It could have been Bob the Builder, and then who would have gave her? Like, who honestly would have cared?
Or she just not be relevant at all.
That to me was like a big point of why I felt like the second half was weaker.
Sure.
Did do a good job of answering some world building questions that obviously were still left after season 1, but after obviously answering the world building questions, the only real things left that this the core plot of the second half really hung on was basically just reuniting Major or Lena with Sheen, and then this whole thing with Kiryu and Frederica.
Mm-hmm.
So I just like for it to kind of be I'm not gonna say it was handled poorly, but it was just like hard to follow, and like you don't really feel too invested in it. They don't do a great job, even though it's talked about in almost every episode. They bring it up in almost every episode. For it to be one of the core things that this half is hanging its hat on, it kind of feels like, why do we care about this, or why is it just like it didn't feel like it was as strong story wise as the first part with Sheen and his brother.
Yeah, I feel like I see what y'all saying. I didn't feel that way as far as about that, even though now that you bring that up and you phrased it like that, like it could have been anybody else. I see what you're saying. I feel like that's partly because like Frederica and Kiryu, like they were only in the second half.
Yeah.
Like we never seen them before that. Or like before the second half, we didn't even know, like you feel me, that the story was that nobody in the Gaiad Federation was even alive or had survived, their own battles with the Legion. So I feel like the show really didn't give you enough time to, get to connect or get attached with Frederica or Kiryu. And I feel like they kind of just, I feel like they kind of just gave Kiryu the same last name as Sheen. It was like, you feel me? Because that was the whole thing. Was like, you feel me? Like Sheen's family basically is from Gaiad. Like last name, that you feel me? That red eyes. You feel me? That blood comes with that power or whatever the case may be. So
remember the Nozen clan.
Right. So I feel like that kind of was really the only thing that would really make us care. Like you feel me? Like you said, like if Kiryu's last name wasn't Nozen, he could have just been like anybody else. You feel me? He could have just been like another commander or somebody else that was in that bot, and you know what I mean? We could have had the same thing.
Maybe I would have enjoyed it more instead of them killing the brother in the first half. They're just like, it was some random commander that they killed, and then they went to the unknown to find his brother.
Okay, yeah.
Now
that would be crazy.
Then they would have been cooked.
My first go through, I was like, okay, he kills his brother, but then when he actually... When at the end of season 1, you see a little cut scene of like another face. And at first, I don't know why I thought it was his brother. I was like, wow, he didn't kill his brother. He just killed somebody that just looked like him or whatever. But I mean, that was just my misconstrued perspective on that. But
I think that's better.
No, I ain't lie. I knew that wasn't his brother. They showed bro in that Morpho. He was bugging.
Yeah, I'd much rather.
Yeah, he was tweaking. I said, yeah, I know I ain't never seen him before.
Yeah, it's just like you just didn't really get attached to the villain. Like
yeah,
that.
for real.
It was kind of just like, oh, okay, you have a nice.
Yeah, and it was supposed to be like sad, but I don't know, bro. Morpho was such a like formidable part of the Legion that I'm like, I didn't even care. I don't care what happened to bro when he was alive. Like, you feel me? You said he went insane. That should be the end of it. Now, bro has a weapon of mass destruction. Like, we don't really care how he got there. We just care that he's the person that's in that seat. Like, he's a menace.
It was supposed to be like a mirror to Shin to be like, oh, this is what you would have been or what you could have been if you would have kept going down this other path. Maybe they're trying to do something like that because there's like a lot of similarities between the two.
Yeah.
Frederica kept pointing out.
Yeah, she kept pointing it out, which I feel like.
I was trying to play devil's advocate.
I don't even think that worked.
Yeah, still at that point, it's like, just make the brother the final boss. That makes a bit more sense to me. But you couldn't have did the spearhead death fake out thing without him being dead. Unless they were like, oh, Lena's like, oh, you guys couldn't do it, so fuck it, I'm gonna do it maybe. But the whole story would kind of have to shift then.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. All right. Getting into this finale, episode 21. Starts, they're chasing down the Morpho, closing back in on the Morpho. Mm-hmm. All of the members of Spearhead end up getting separated by one means or another. And of course, we get our one-on-one with Sheen versus the Morpho. How do you guys think this battle was going to go?
I would say, first I thought it was hilarious.
I knew what was going to happen.
Shin had the upper hand, and Frederick was like, "Oh, don't forget his specialty is close combat, just like you." It's just like, really? Is that really necessary to fucking?
Nah, I think
that did it like rub off, like
careful. Didn't like that.
Well, honestly, I didn't like it. I was kind of
like,
I don't know, it's because she was like, oh, be careful. This big robot that has a rail gun and super good at
fighting
is good at close combat.
I think the whole thing was like, it was fried. Like, I think she was just like, she was like, yeah, man, you're amazing because you can push your Juggernaut to its limits, mobility-wise, and he can do the same thing. Yeah. And then all he did was, move over and sit down. I was like, okay.
It was so weird. It's like, oh, here goes some flashback. Eugene telling Freddy, oh, man, your big brother has this crazy move. It's just like, oh, guess what? Plot convenience. So there's the enemy. The move
he didn't even do that.
Exactly. It's kind of just like... It's not annoying, but it's just like
that was
a little unnecessary.
I feel like the final battle was good. I liked it. You know what I mean? It was action packed. It was cool. I think it was animated well. I can't lie. When bro's wings turned into like when those like luminescent wings turned into like not even lasers. They turned into like. Almost like appendages, like on Venom. Like he was able to really like control them and do all types of shit. I was like, nah, this is OP as hell. I'm like, bro, come on now. Like at this point, bro, you're not defeating this shit. So I know it's about you feel me? I just kind of it got the feeling like this is too much. Like y'all gave him too much power. Like now for him to lose, I know y'all about to have to pull something out of hat. It's about to be something sentimental. You feel me? Like y'all gonna have to pull some trick out of y'all hat. Because there's no way you would be able to defeat this otherwise. Like, this nigga got Gatling guns, he got a rail gun, he can move, he got wings that can fly, and also are like appendages, nigga, that can stick shit and grab shit. I'm like, come on, bro. Like, he getting a little too OP now.
My man got vectors for like F and Y.
Yeah. Like,
man,
that shit was crazy, bro.
That's a show right there.
I will say that they loved the fight was that Frederica did make a difference. Like the fact that she was there was the only reason he won the fight.
Literally,
About to say.
That was like
she got heart for real.
That's the only thing I enjoyed about her entire show.
I was gonna ask, like, everybody else think that it would be Lena that would come in for the save when she's giving this whole speech. Is like everybody's down. I'm on like my last clip of ammo. Engine all fucked up.
Hold on.
It was so long
she did,
since
though,
they even mentioned her. I forgot she was even a fucking part of the story.
I literally wrote my notes. I was like, all looks lost. We haven't seen her in a minute. I know right here is where she about to swoop in. like, yeah, man, I just got all the troops, man. I called in another mortar strike.
Bro, but here's my
We're
thing.
about to
I'm
get on
pretty
that.
sure
Yeah.
she was, bro. Like, I'm pretty sure Lena called in the air support at the very end. Right? Yeah, like, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
He
Yeah.
could like faintly hear her.
Yeah, he
on the
could.
radio.
Yeah, he could barely hear it over the
yeah.
radio. I was like, "Damn, Lena came back." And so yeah, I mean, I thought it was cool.
But it ended up being, of course, like y'all alluded to, Frederica, who kind of like helped.
Oh, I see what you're saying. It kind of saved it.
Lena enough time to be able to.
Yeah. Which I love, man. We love Frederica, man. We team
Who's
Frederica,
we?
so you feel me? For her to have another integral point to the plot,
Just
an
the one
integral
time.
point to the final battle, an integral point to the victory, man, it just speaks volumes for her character. And like I wrote in my notes, bro, she got heart. She stepped on the battlefield with the Glock. You feel me? All by her lonesome.
She's the
She was gonna
cheerleader,
take
bro.
herself out. She had the gun like this. I said,
She
yo.
was trying to definitely
Yeah.
distract him
Yeah.
and told him where to shoot to get the kill
And that
shot.
threw me off too. Like, wasn't he looking at the X-ray of it?
Who?
Bro,
Sheen?
I swear when I seen it, bro, Sheen had the gun. He's aiming the gun, bro. You see like something off under the wing to the side. It locks on, and then he says, "Do you know where he's at?" And she's like,
Oh,
I,
yeah.
I think
I
he's
remember.
under the wing."
Yeah.
And he literally goes and attacks the exact point he had locked onto. I'm like, bro, did he need her to tell her that? Was he testing her? What the fuck was going on? Was she using her power at that moment?
Yeah,
I didn't know
I
what.
do think she was using
Okay.
her power, because then-
Okay.
I don't know if it was then or
Yeah,
earlier. I
that
remember
shit just threw me
he
off.
asked like, "Where's your knight at?" Was that scene?
Yeah,
Yeah, that was that scene.
He's
He was like, "Where's your
behind
knight
the
at?"
main gun
Gun,
in between
yeah,
the two wings.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know, man.
Yeah, and then he basically deals the final blow.
Right.
But after that, his juggernaut or whatever is all fucked up.
Yo.
And then we see Kiryu's actually not gone. He comes back and he's like in this like smaller mech or whatever, and he's about to get him. And that's when Lena comes and we see obviously what we learned later was Cyclops shoot him away, and then Lena comes up and talks to him or whatever.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That was him.
Yeah,
and
that's
that's
him.
him.
Now,
Yeah.
now I didn't really
He was like,
get that
"I was
because right before that, you know what I mean? It started talking about like it showed all his fallen comrades, but then it was like that shadow version of himself. So I thought at that moment, like, oh shit, his survivor's guilt's kicking in. Like now he's starting to really having to face. Yeah, I mean, like I thought it was just
about
like
to let it kill him because he just like, bro, I'm so
exactly.
done.
Yeah, I thought that was
One,
just
there was
like
nothing he
another
could do because
Legion bot.
his thing was fucked up, and he's just like, bro, I'm ready.
Right. Yeah. Right. He was like fucking.
Yeah, I thought the ending was really good, especially like back to what I was saying about the fireworks earlier. How it came full circle at the end, like when the robot was blowing up, and both of them could hear
all
and see
the
the fireworks.
colors.
But yeah, it's like now it really
that
shows that they're connected. Yeah, I
Yeah,
thought it was
that
cool. I
was-
thought the animation was crazy, like when all the flowers went from
red
red
to
to blue.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, bro, that was real. Oh, I fucking love that. And the little speech Lena gave him to be like, oh, this is, practically giving him the same speech he was
He
giving
gave her.
in
Yeah,
season
exactly.
one. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was cool. How she kind of regurgitated that, and it was exactly what he needed to hear at that moment.
Yeah, my big question was how was Lena on hanging on to that juggernaut while she was fighting, or was she just standing in the grass watching him fight? Because remember, like that's whenever she came in on Cyclops' juggernaut.
Yeah, right.
So
Yeah, right.
why Cyclops was fighting? Where the fuck was she at?
Maybe inside the cockpit.
Sit in that little ass.
I have no clue.
Hey man, maybe.
I ain't even.
Don't tell me she's hanging on there for her dear life. She's running and jumping around and shit.
That's funny.
After the explosion, I was like, how is he still alive, bruh?
Yeah,
Oh
that
my
was fun,
God.
though.
Look
Yeah,
this man
yeah. I definitely thought he had
That
bit the
big
dust
ass
in that
explosion,
explosion.
I'm like, oh,
I
he's
definitely
done,
thought he
'cause
had bit the dust.
after he does the kill shot to the Morpho, the big version, it's like, bam, self-destruct, 5 seconds.
Exactly.
Pews.
Yeah, I seen it count down. I'm like, because it don't make no noise. I'm like, hey, they real smart. Usually self-destruct is big. I'm like, I don't hear nothing. I'm like, damn, they about to try to sneak one in. That's crazy. but I guess he ended up getting away and in time and everything.
Yeah, we learned from Ernest that the Confederacy, they're going to send their forces to the Republic. The Republic, obviously, they were fighting on their front and lost.
Yeah.
You see that their whole country got decimated, but it's saying they're going to send their troops down there to basically conduct a rescue operation.
They got dusted
and get any like 86 or Albas that's still left there surviving.
Yeah.
We see Kiryu at the last second. He saves Frederica from the blast because she's just out there on foot.
Oh,
she definitely also would have definitely died.
Yep, that is true.
Useless as that.
Getting past 22 minutes 23. 23 just being basically an epilogue episode.
Right.
We see that the war is still going on. The war continues. Sheen, we get the scene where he visits Eugene's grave. Yeah. He talks to what's his name? Marcel.
The little friend or whatever.
Hating ass dude.
Yeah,
Eugene's friend with the orange hair.
Oh yeah,
he was wilding. He said, "Man, I had her write notes to you." He opened. I'm like, the only note he opened, she literally asked, "Why did you kill my brother?"
It was revealed that he was making the sister write those.
Right. Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, like he was having her write them notes. I'm like, that shit was really fucked up of him to do. And those were not nice messages in those notes. Like, and it was one on every one of the 86 chairs when they went off on the big mission to save everybody's life. It was crazy.
Because even Sheen took that with him on his one mission.
Yep.
Which I thought was like, damn, because he held that real dear to him. Even when he opened it in his room, I was like, damn.
Yeah,
that's pretty fucked up.
Throughout part 2, the Eugene's definitely stuck with him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely liked that last episode though, the episode 23. I think I thought it was funny. I thought it was hella ironic that Sam and Mongolia kind of got their just desserts. Like, you know what I mean? They said like when the battle first started, they got defeated in a couple weeks, and then Lena literally says like they only survived their front lines really only survived a couple weeks before the Legion had really broke through and like decimated their country. So I thought that was kind of fraud that they got their just desserts. I think Lena did have a great quote as far as the San Magnolia or the Albas, whatever, the people that weren't aware of what was happening to the 86. Like she talked about, she basically had a line where she had said something along the lines of, how can you punish someone that doesn't know, and was basically talking about how like the Confederacy has still sent them help even knowing what they were doing to the 86, because a large majority of the people weren't really aware, and at the end of the day, this after war like they need the help. Like it would be wrong to just leave them, and they, you feel me? They weren't really a part of that, so I thought that was cool. I think that last episode. Just like that and a lot of other things in that last episode, I feel like I was able to see the similarities between like the Albas and like other people in history as far as like the Nazis, or you know what I mean, just like different, just like how different groups of people have been like discriminated against on a large scale. I feel like that really drew that message home to me. Just seeing, you feel me, seeing how their country ended up and how they were relying on the Confederacy, and then seeing how the Confederacy, you feel me, like even before that we're talking about like taking all the 86 in, and they were like, we don't know, they kind of been through a lot, like are they gonna be, you know what I mean? And I felt like that was another major theme in the show, was like time and time again people kept saying like, we already been horrible to the 86. We cannot be nice to them because, you know what I mean? Like, they should be horrible people. Like, they should want revenge. They should want to take over. They should want violence. You know what I mean? They should want, like, all these things in retribution. And it's like, I feel like that is also something that goes on a lot, like, in, you feel me, in our, like, today's society, in our world, like, you feel me? Whether it be like, you know what I mean, like African Americans after slavery or different groups of people around the world, like that is something that a lot of times after slavery or after like tyrants, after revolution, that is something that is like a huge problem for a lot of different governments and places to get over. Is kind of like, you know what I mean? Like we treated these people bad, and now it's kind of like, damn, like how much, you know what I mean, how much rights and freedom do we give them if we feel like they're going to want revenge and we're deserving of that revenge, but we don't want to face that revenge. Like, you feel me? It kind of raises that question of how, you know what I mean, how much support and freedom do you give people after they've been through something like that?
Afterwards, we learn the Republic fell in only 1 week. We see Lena and Annette are going to join the Confederacy. They go and join the Confederacy Army. To Theo's point, how both the seasons started off the same with our scene of Lena like walking through the military base. They end the same because we also kind of end with a Fido POV scene.
Oh, yeah.
And then I had in my notes at the very end, of course, the final scene that Lena finally gets to meet her Xbox friends in person.
Yeah. I thought that was a pretty good ending as far as Lena finally meeting the people that she's been finding contact with and all that.
Yeah.
I mean, it
Feel
just,
good ending.
yeah, you know, I think it'll suck if something else had been different, but.
A bit cheesy, but not.
She's bad, you know, but it's more of a feeling, I would say.
Right.
Again, as my second watch through, it's definitely a solid B, teeter and B plus. It's like me personally, the first half is definitely B plus, but the second half, just for me, kind of. Yeah, I enjoyed the first half way more than the second.
Okay.
Way just me personally, especially my second watch through.
Final scores?
Yes, like I said,
Series?
yeah, I give it a B, teeter B plus. I said B plus.
B plus.
Or if you want to give like a number rating,
you can give a number to score.
like a 8.3, 8.4.
Okay, that's about what I got on mouth.
8 point.
Just my closing thoughts on the series. It was okay. Like, it did some things. It did things well. I didn't think it really did anything great. The characters to me there weren't any great characters. The animation was probably the best thing it did. The use of CGI in the backgrounds. Like I said before, the character design, art style didn't really blow me away. The music was pretty good, but nothing where I'm just like instantly like, okay, I'm adding this to the playlist. But they had some songs that like weren't like you didn't want to skip it. The story was okay. Like, it was good, but it wasn't great to me. I say it was a pretty decent show. I'd probably give this like a 7.5.
Okay, me personally, I'm thinking about everything as a whole. Kind of, what Jordan said. I think the music was great. I didn't really too much care for the first opening. At that first season opening, I like the second one. I love the second opening.
The first opening.
The second opening I thought was perfect.
Yeah.
As far as characters, there were characters that I definitely loved, like Raiden, Sheen, Frederica. I thought those were some of my favorite characters. Overall, I would say I would probably give it like a C plus B, like probably like 7.5, maybe 8. I feel like the first half of the first season to me was like just hella slow. I don't know. I didn't really appreciate, like I said, like how they moved the plot along and how slow I felt like it took to get going. I didn't really appreciate that. I didn't like Lena at first. She was hella annoying. She definitely grew on me though, like, you know what I mean, as she grew as a character. But then I also feel like they kind of let down with not letting us learn more about her. I feel like the Legion as a whole, like that whole thing, as far as like taking brains and, you know what I mean, like using people kind of against their will to man these bots, I feel like I would have liked a lot more lore and information about that. So I kind of was disappointed I didn't get a lot of that, because that's really what interested me in the first, was like learning about the Legion and like Sheen's power and shit. I was like, oh shit, this shit's really getting interesting. So I kind of felt like, I don't know, just me personally, I'm really like a big lore guy, so I would have loved more of that. But yeah, I mean, I give it probably like like 7.5, 8. Like I could see somebody giving it an 8. Like I really liked the second half. You feel me? I think the music was great. Like Jordan said, I think the animation was good. CGI was great. Like it didn't, you know, you feel me? It never like mess up the immersion. I never thought like, why did they do that? I never thought like, why are they using CGI? Like I thought it was done well. Yeah.
Well, for me, my initial reaction watching this show the first time around, I just gave it like a 9.5 out of 10.
Okay.
But again, that goes back to me in episode 0 of what I like about shows as a whole. You know, as far as like the soundtrack goes, the characters, the plot, and just how more I can see myself be related to certain characters. Now, there's some that I was kind of related to, but not exactly. Actually, going through the second round of this watching, my review kind of dropped down to maybe a 9 out of 10. Just actually hearing other people's perspective and seeing what they like about the show, what they didn't like about the show, and stuff that I missed upon. Just my initial reaction while I was looking at of the show, just seeing some of the nuances during the show and just a little bit lack of information. But to me, it's still one of my shows that I like a lot. Again, what I like about the show, just well built around the soundtrack, the world building, some of the characters. I know Jordan mentioned that some of the characters were not as relatable to or likable, only a handful of them. But some of them, in my opinion, don't have to be all relatable, have such in-depth meaning to them, but have some sort of presence as far as like other characters. So one character don't have to have a huge screen time, but enough to just gravitate and give more depth for another character like the MC Sheen, you know, for what he had to carry through from episode 1 all the way till the end of the season 2. Much like Elena as well. That's just my opinion on that. So my ranking it dropped down to 9.5 to 9 to 10. But,
all right. For sure.
All right. Let me see. All right, y'all, man. Thanks for watching this episode, sticking with us, man. It is that time, man, for Dwayne to reveal what we will be reviewing next week.
All right. So next week, we will be watching Beastars. No!
Please, I had to think. I said, "What the fuck is that?"
We gonna be laughing at party
The one with the animals
on Netflix.
Furries, bro.
He was really excited when you said that.
No, bro. But we will be watching. We'll be watching Violet Evergarden, though.
I knew it! Oh my
Oh,
god!
for
I
real?
swear I was like, bro.
Yeah, that's cool.
I
That's
already
cool.
know
I
what
never
you're
seen
about to
it.
say.
Heard about it. I heard it's amazing. You know what I mean? I don't think it's a lot of action or nothing in that movie.
No,
but
it's
you know,
more,
it's all cool.
Yeah,
But,
it is more
yeah.
like emotional based, but yeah.
That's
Y'all
cool.
gonna see me here crying, man. It's all right.
Right. I'll let y'all know, man. I like to cut through the emotion, man. I'll let y'all know if that shit good or not. Real.
Start cutting onions, boy.
Seen the Theo, your any experience with it?
Yeah, Violet Evergarden was cool. I actually watched that right after Your Lie in April, so I didn't know what to expect from Violet Evergarden. Only seeing my thought was it's gonna be action based, but little did I know as I was watching throughout, I was kind of wanting to see more of that because of the character and how she was and what her background and everything was. But it was a really good anime for a 12-episode anime. 12 episodes, right?
12, 13, I think.
12, 13 episodes. It was pretty good. A little bit of tearjerker if you like shows like that. But overall, it was definitely great. It definitely got robbed that year when it first came out, in my opinion.
Robbed the animated year.
Yeah, robbed the animated year, yeah, in my opinion.
Alright, man. Thank y'all for watching this episode, man. If you liked it, hit that like button, man. If you want to see more episodes, subscribe. If you had different opinions than we did about this show, man, leave them down in the comments, man. Let us know. We'll definitely respond. Follow our Otaku Perspective on social media. The link will be in the description, man. Get updates on when episodes are about to drop, time-wise, any updates that might be important as far as if we having a hold up that week or whatever. Get behind the scenes, extra footage on our social media accounts, man. But other than that, catch us next week when we review Violet Evergarden, man. Otaku Perspective, signing off.
Where you rose in my city, I know it gets cold. So tired of these stories going untold.